Alright, hopefully that's working. Hey, Blunder, how's it going, dude?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, man. I'm getting every technical difficulty I could possibly get. Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yep. Are you good?
Nice. Alright, awesome. I'm trying to stream on a remote setup. Hey Chikorita, hey Void, how's it going, dude?
The only ones in here right now is just D and me that I'm seeing, unless you're on a different server.
Stream's a bit loud. How we sounding now?
Yep, still good. Good over here.
Sick. Oh. Fingers. Yeah, man, if you want to jump in the Discord, Void. Did you see the stream page that's up, dude? The Steam page? Hey, Rive, how's it going, man? What the hell was that? That's it, Quago. Man, have you just got your name as T in the Discord, man? Oh, what is going on with my res? Oh, we might as well bring up the Steam page and have a look and see what's going on with POE 2 before it comes in.
Okay, my name's only turn up as T.
Yeah, it don't come up as T.
Oh, weird.
It could be
a little tiny Avenger in there.
Yeah, it could just be my Discord squashed up. I've got like a mobile monitor on me, so I can like live stream and stuff like that while I'm remote.
Yeah. I don't think you get I'm hearing you twice, like once on here and then once on the stream on Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a bit like that. When you're navigating on multi-chats and stuff. Is it rating in Final Fantasy 14? So, man, what the fuck is this rating in Final Fantasy 14 stuff? What are you playing this league, Tony?
So I'm gonna play your. This is Scanman. by the way. I just don't know how to change my name on here.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were going to play Incinerate, weren't you?
I was gonna do the Incinerate, but it felt squishy, so I started going with the
Bone
Bone
Chat?
Chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my 4th run through already. I'm on about the end of Act, almost to the 5.
Man, you're going to burn yourself out on leaks.
3 hours.
That's
Just
pretty
over
good.
3 hours.
That's pretty good. I'm
Hard
hoping.
part's the keeping it ethical.
Yeah, I'm just hoping for no more than 7. Well, ideally 7 hours, and then get straight into Delve. I gotta do a guide on that actually. Are you calling Bone Shatter nerfs, Chikorita? Man, we'll see.
I hope not.
I hope not too, but they might do it. They might nerf.
mean-
Well, they probably won't nerf Glacial Hammer, and so that'd be the second choice to be doing Trauma Stack Glacial Hammer.
Yeah, the only bad part is if they nerf it, then there's not very many melee.
Well, then there'll be.
Real...
Well, they might add a new melee skill that might actually work.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, Darksiders, you can join. Chat's open to anyone. We're just shooting the shit. I've got. What's the time? It's like. Yeah,
It
it's
is 12:10 over here.
Right,
so
6:10 in the morning.
that's,
6:10 in the morning here. And then I've got a Santa suit I haven't even tried on yet, and I'll put on a bit of weight, so I don't know how that's gonna go. I got to drive an hour and a half later this afternoon, dressed as Santa.
I almost didn't notice you without the beard.
Oh, yeah. I had to shave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to shave my face off last night. I was like, ah, shit. So I got league start, and I'm just hoping nobody calls me before 8 with an IT problem, because that's been the case every morning this week. So I'm like, nah, not picking up any phone calls. It's league announcement day. Everybody can basically get in line.
Nah, I have an idea. I'm just gonna. There we go. I'll just meet you on the Twitch.
Yeah.
There we go. That's more better.
There we go.
More better.
Hey Atomic, how's it going, man? Hey Bill. Yeah, I'm in a donger in the Gulf, mate. Like far Gulf. Actually, what I might do is on League Start Day, I might actually jump on the Discord on League Start Day. I'm gonna start jumping on the Discord a little more on stream, because I just think it's more interesting.
There you go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Change it up.
Hey Gorkin, how's it going, dude?
Got the crew coming together.
Hell yeah, man.
How's it going, guys?
Not too bad, dude.
Good.
How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I snuck out from work. Just enjoying voice and watch the stream.
Oh man, that's a go. Hey, I've got like an hour and a half before work, so I'm gonna be cutting it thin, but we're gonna get there.
No one's going to notice, man. No one's going to notice.
If I don't pick up my phone, then no one's gonna know.
Oh man.
I think I got a meeting at
Yeah,
9 o'clock.
If you read the bad scans, then I'm probably caught. But
Oh. How's it going, Bill? How you feeling today, man? How long is this reveal gonna be? It's probably be like an hour, and then they'll go into their post podcast and then talk through whatever changes. Nah, man, I don't have a day off. What's that?
Path of Exile takes up more life than work does.
Oh, it's more
I
important.
mean, some of us did what we have to do, studied what we have to study, and picked up jobs just to play Path of Exile, man.
That's
is what
it.
is, right?
Before there was the
Yeah,
channel,
that's
there
what
was my job funding my Path of Exile addiction. Man, I looked at my
That's part of the
MTX.
reason why I'm trying to get an IT job, so that way while I'm waiting for stuff to install, I can just play POE, man.
That's exactly what I did.
That's
Dude, I do CAT scans, do CT scans. I play between patients.
I got a buddy of mine who works for an energy company in the sales department, and all he does is blight farm all day long. And if he's not at the computer blight farming from home, he gets his kid to blight farm for him on his account.
Nice. That's the only reason I have kids.
Easy farming. I just have buddies that did it on WoW as well, gold farming.
Have an
Yeah, we're
account
taking,
for
Go ahead.
have an account for a decade or two just to pass it down to your kids.
You're like, you're contributing to this.
Yeah, my little one used to play. He's like 6. I just made him an RF. I was like, here's the fire guy. I'm gonna play the fire guy.
Fire guy. Just run around in circles, kill everything.
I'm a hardcore sucker, so I don't know. AFKing Blight, unless I have a super tanky character, it's
Buzz just had a good term for it. Can't break TOS when you spawn an IRL bot to farm for you. That's one way to put it, bro.
yeah.
IRL bot.
Write a script to log out when it reads the pixels of 50% or less HP kind of thing. That's easy enough to do, but
They put a camera. They put a facial recognition on your computer and go, "Hey, you're not the right person sitting behind this account." Go, fucking hell. That's some security protocol right there. You'd be like, these guys are serious. These guys are serious.
you have to have
Hey, Mez, how's it going, dude?
webcams.
Oh yeah, so you just put your cover over the webcam, yeah. Biometrics in the game, yeah, that would be next level.
Probably in the future, man, when virtual reality shit comes along. Imagine playing Path of Exile in first person kind of thing. Not even first person, as yourself.
Yeah, well then it calibrates to your height and whatever, and it's like, your height is not the right height. Are you sitting down?
Start putting fingerprint sensors and mice and controllers and stuff.
Man, just imagining that is crazy.
Just trying to find Steam page POE.
Imagine delving by yourself in deep Neuralink VR or some shit.
Good heavens, that would be borderline nightmarish if your light radius was basically nothing. Stuff
PTSD
jumping at you
incoming.
from everywhere.
I reckon that'd be friggin' awesome. Friggin'
Imagine playing Cyclone while in something like that. You just get sick from spinning so much.
just get nauseous. You're like, what the hell's going on, man?
I mean, they could circumvent it by being like, your character would be still and your hands would just be rotating or something.
Nah, Mez, I shaved my beard off last night. I got dressed as Santa Claus for a community Christmas later this afternoon. So I got to put a beard over the top of my now no longer beard. So I had to make a hard decision. I made a promise, I'm a man of my word, that I would shave my face. So I did. I look like a baby. Every time I shave, just doesn't look right. I'm waiting for someone to
So
drop in
bad.
the comments and be like, "Hey, bro, like, what the fuck? You look like you've shaved off about 10 years." Trying to navigate this tiny little screen. So the Steam page for POE 2 came up last night.
I guess I'll catch you later.
Yeah, I just checked it out today myself.
My colleagues are pinging.
Oh yeah,
I'll
man.
watch
Yeah.
watch the stream in secret.
You have a good one, man. It's like 6:20 in Jorgen land right now. It's early, man. It's early. I thought it was pretty cool that they've put the stand. That they may do like a beta access or something like that. Thanks for follow, Phoenix. I think I signed up for it too. I could add that to the wish list. Yeah, man, nobody ever likes it when I shave. So we got 12 character classes, 2 for every combination. This is what I found the most interesting part. But they're most likely gonna talk about the Merc today. The gun class. Have you guys seen that? Tiny and
little video.
Scan?
Yeah, whenever I was checking it out on the Steam page, I was kind of interested. I found it really weird that it both feels like a skill gym system and a skill-based system. Like, it's actually class-based, but
Yeah.
also skill gym.
I'm interested as to how they got, like, mobile gunplay to work. Like, more or less looks like it's mobile gunplay. Like, you can walk backwards with the gun and still fire. Like, are they putting WASD in this to some element? So, 240 skill gems, 200 support gems.
I mean, if what the preview is showing, it almost reminds me of, like, console Path of Exile.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
Because the movement being independent of your skill usage it's very similar to how it works on console right now.
It might be an option that you can, like, tick on. We'll find. I reckon they'll announce all this today because they'll go through the last of the classes that they want to announce. 700 equipment base types, and I would assume they have like the equivalency of uniques. So they got. I'm just keen for flails, man. Flails and the Templar, because the stat they had at ExileCon was they had deflection and reflection. Thanks for the sub, Matatar. Appreciate it, man. I don't know, Bill. I reckon it looks sick. If it's like blunderbusses and stuff like that, I'm all keen for it. Like, you see the preview here. It looks dope.
Yeah, it really depends on how modernized the guns are. If it's like, you know, muskets and blunderbusses and stuff like that, I think it'll fit in just fine.
Yeah, just not like AR-15s or anything like that.
Roll up with a Vulcan minigun.
Oh, man. If you're like, I've unlocked the unique Remington 400 shotgun. Oh, man. It'd be hectic, though. I'm just keen for Templar. I want to play Thorns builds. I want Thorns builds. It looks like Thorns builds are going to be a thing. Yeah, that's what I meant. That's it, Chikorita. And that's the thing, like, they've recalibrated the classes so they're more traditional and more I think that's more gothic, just looks better. A better feel. So we got 36 ascendancies.
I do have to say the art direction does look very dark and Path of Exile isn't like super dark fantasy like the previews have shown. It's substantially darker in POE 2.
Oh, hell yeah, man. It's just yeah. 6 minutes 55 seconds. Tier 0 unique minigun. Yeah. Man, that'd be dope. Be dope as. Nah, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like knowing them. It'll be done well. So.
Here's to hope and praying that we get a delve mechanic in PoE 2.
Man,
so
that's
we
all.
Don't feel too out of home.
Oh man, I hope they announce that like today. Be like, oh, by the way, we're bringing back these different league mechanics. Hey, Oxygen, not to. New league start. No, it hasn't started yet. But we've got league announcement in like 5.5 to 6 minutes. Oh, we got a hype train. Thanks for the sub, Nom. Appreciate it, dude. Ultimatum better come back. Like, it technically sorta is back with the fragments, but it's not quite back. Morning, Nom. So I like the comment here, fair to play, never pay to win. And they're making it very clear, and they put it in writing, that the purchases will be shared between 2 games. Yeah, I've got drops on, man. I always have drops on.
Taking shots at Diablo Immortal with the pay to win part.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like, just gonna double check my Twitch drops. Yeah, I just don't think.
They already try to put an expansion out for that shit.
I can't see how they're ever going to recover.
No, they're fucked. There's no way. Cause then they have the like $100 get you 2 stash tabs and this. I was like, dude, are you shitting me? That should just come with it. I'm not paying you another $60 for a fucking beta.
It was really sad to see that Diablo 4 didn't do better than what people were hoping, because having good competition between JRPGs RPGs like this would have been much better for everyone, because we would be seeing so many more creative ideas.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it is disappointing that they sort of just shit the bed so badly.
Yeah, I mean, as a gamer, you don't want to see a game flop, but I mean, at the same time, I'm not going to keep throwing money at you either.
Just double checking. Twitch drops are on.
Get my fairy wings and delve with fairy wings next week.
Berserker for league start. Let's see, want to do early delving currency. Yeah, if you're going to do Berserker, try Call to Arms. I think it's Ancestral Cry, and you can run like Blade Flurry or whatnot. That usually will be the best option when you play Zerka on league start. Like, it's still not easy to. The other one is Cobra. Was it running Cobra Lash? I think. No, not Cobra Lash. I think it might be Cobra Lash. Basically, the best Zerka builds, but Zerkas are notoriously difficult because they just don't have that defense scaling unless you really punch investment into them. Generally, I've stayed away from Zerka builds, especially on League Star. I never recommend Zerka builds on League Star because you just get frustrated with the amount of deaths you rack up.
Honestly, thinking about it, I don't think I've ever done a Zerker build in all of Path of Exile that I've played. Almost 4,000 hours in it. I don't think I've ever played a Zerker.
I've never played Deadeye because I don't play bow. Never play bow builds.
Fair. I think I've only ever done one Deadeye build, and that was like the Magic Find Tornado Shot build.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just, yeah, it's a hard sell trying to do any type of League Start content for a build that requires, like, 100 Divine to get off the ground. I know, Oxygen, there's a lot of people that like Deadeye. Oh, 1 minute 37. Get hyped. I'm gonna go Bone Shatter since it's Christmas time, and it doesn't make sense for me to not go Bone Shatter for this league, as long as it doesn't get nerfed into Oblivion. But and if it does, I've got Incinerate to fall back on, so I've got my auxiliary. What about you guys?
Gonna hit that.
Oh.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just about to say I'm gonna hit that fat flicker league start this time
Oh
around. I
my
haven't done it
God.
in forever.
Flicker strike. Let's do a Mage Fist build.
Yeah, one of the ones that he was doing is I believe it was his cold Raider flicker at one point.
Raider. Well, that Converse guy, he has a mana stacking flicker build.
Yeah, I've seen that before too. I'm really debating on it. I'm not sure if I want to do mana stacking or if I want to do intelligence stacking.
Yeah, that's true. I think part of it too is the cost to get that build up and running. Like, you've got to be dedicated, and it's going to be an end of league build, not even like a 3 weeks in build.
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the reason why I'm going with the
Oh.
cold flicker, because it's just Terminus Est and go.
Thanks for joining
Here we
us
go.
on today's Path of Exile live stream. We have a packed show today, with announcements for Path of Exile 2, as well as the exclusive unveiling of Path of Exile Affliction, which launches on December 8th on PC and Mac, and on December 13th on console. Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so make sure you follow the instructions below in order to claim your Huntsman wings. We'll start with Path of Exile 2, where Jonathan will walk you through our latest announcements. Mark will then take you on a deep dive into the new Path of Exile Affliction Challenge League, which launches in 1 week.
Ooh.
He'll cover the league mechanics, its rewards, some new content we're adding to the core Path of Exile experience,
I like that.
and some large metagame changes.
About time.
I'll then show you our annual core supporter packs, and we'll head into our live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask us your questions from Twitch chat. After the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes. I'd like to hand over to Jonathan Rogers, Game Director of Path of Exile 2.
Hey guys, it's been a few months since we introduced you to the Druid in Path of Exile 2, but one of the things that we're really focusing on now is how varied each of the classes feels to play. The Monk darts around quickly from enemy to enemy, building and unleashing combos. If he doesn't stay in combat, he loses momentum and has to build it up again.
Let's hope large meta changes, yeah.
Those impact frames are nasty.
The Warrior, on the other
I
hand,
love the
is
Warrior.
a slow but unstoppable freight train. A Warrior commits to big attacks and relies on stunning his enemies to stay safe in the thick of combat. When an opening presents itself, a Warrior can use even larger attacks to demolish his enemies.
It is Glacial Cascade, and the Warrior feels amazing to play. Like, it's just like a big hitter.
The Huntress seamlessly moves from melee to ranged combat and back. The true damage potential of the Huntress is only unlocked when you learn to combine ranged and melee abilities together. And then there are the spellcasters foes. If she finds herself surrounded by enemies, she would rather use an ability to escape than to take them on directly.
And yeah, the Sork feels really good too to play, especially with like Arc.
The Druid is also a spellcaster, but unlike the Sorceress, he uses his spells as a means to support his melee abilities. And by melee abilities, we mean he can turn into a giant animal and rip his enemies to pieces.
Come on, Templar.
Each of these classes feels extremely different to play, but we want to go even further. It's time to check out the Mercenary.
Yes!
There's not a job out there I won't take, so long as the pay's good and a crossbow can solve it.
Been asking for a crossbow forever since I see them in Act 5.
It's like Dragon's Breath.
I'll take them all down, one bolt at a time.
When thinking about each new class, we really try to think about how we can make combat feel different from all the others. For the Mercenary, that difference is the crossbow. A crossbow is fundamentally different than a regular bow because it fires instantly
Yeah.
instead of needing to be drawn back.
It looks like a
This
gun.
means that you need immediate feedback. Clicking the fire button should make the character shoot instantly, just like in a shooter. As soon as we experienced that, we realized that there are a lot of design lessons to learn from shooters, and so we fully embraced them.
So they
In
built
Path of Exile 2, we have crossbows that work like sniper rifles, shotguns, and assault rifles.
Yeah. What?
But in order to really get shooter-like gameplay, we wanted to go further. In Path of Exile 2, we now support WASD movement.
I told you
can now
guys.
walk around in any
I
direction.
told you
Yeah,
guys.
you called
Called it.
In fact, if this is your preferred method of gameplay, you can use it on any class, regardless of what weapon type you're using. You can change between click to move or WASD at any time.
Oh, that's insane.
You can only hold 2 crossbows at a time, but Path of Exile 2 is all about interesting combinations of abilities, and this is where ammo skills come in. This is a burst shot crossbow, and right now I have armor piercing ammo equipped, which makes it very effective when facing a group of enemies, since it pierces right through them.
Bloody horrors!
That's awesome.
But
I
there
love
are other
that.
ammos too. For a bigger single target, it might be a good
Looks
idea
like it's
to
gonna have
switch
a
to
heavy
incendiary.
lead on
The more
crowd clear
projectiles hit
weapon
the target,
and
the
bombing
stronger the
weapon.
ignite.
Yeah.
So you'll want to get up nice, close and personal with this one. If you have a bunch of targets running at
lad.
you might want to slow them down. In this case, you could switch to permafrost burst shot. Shooting a bunch of smaller enemies at range will chill them, and potentially even freeze them in place.
Oh, that's so cool. That's like
Once you have
Alien
some frozen
Shooter.
enemies though, you can switch back to armor piercing. Shooting a frozen enemy with armor piercing burst shot will
POE
explode
2,
the
the
ice,
potato
doing a huge
PC
amount of
killer.
damage to all nearby enemies.
They're pulling it all out, eh? I don't even know how we're going to build characters for these things. It's just crazy.
Another feature crossbows have is attachments.
Gonna have to spend the first
This is a
1,000
grenade
hours
launcher.
building out full
As you can see,
characters
when
for
I equip
every
it,
single
it appears on the
class.
underside of the crossbow.
What is
These
that?
attachments are just like skill gems, so you effectively get extra skill slots, and you can augment
Oh
these with
my
support gems,
God!
just like regular skills.
Bloody delayed burst bombs.
Itemized skills? What?
Grenade launchers.
These
Grenade
grenades take a
launcher.
while to explode, so it's a good idea to pair them with some kind of crowd control, like permafrost burst shot.
Oh my god. This is awesome.
Jesus, I thought POE 1 had problems with 1,000 variations on
this
We
one
have other
character.
grenades
is
too,
like-
though.
That'd be
This
insane.
attachment is a flash grenade. It does barely any damage, but it does a huge amount of stun. It can be a great opener before you run into combat.
Get a screen bloody advertising.
Surprise!
Now, here's another attachment, an oil grenade. Firing one of these grenades coats the ground and nearby enemies in oil. Oil slows enemies down, so it's another useful crowd control mechanic.
That's just crazy. Yeah, they've got gold in the
Another
inventory.
thing that oil can do is be set on fire. Any burning enemy or explosion will ignite the oil, causing extra burning
Oh,
damage.
environmental effects.
One of the problems with burst shot crossbows is that each pellet doesn't do much damage individually. This means that if enemies have armor, then it will be very
Slugs.
effective preventing that damage.
Slugs.
But thankfully, you can equip an additional crossbow in your second weapon set to deal with the weaknesses of your primary weapon.
Oh my god.
This is a rapid shot crossbow.
Super
Rapid shot
emphasis
is
on
great
weapon
for
swap.
closing on enemies because you can shoot while running. In Path of Exile 2, we now have the ability to allow you to use some skills
Oh no, don't buffer.
while moving. Being able to create skills like this opens up a lot of new design space and allows us to really increase the pace of combat.
It's like Van Helsing, the
The
old movie.
armor-piercing version of Rapid Shot slowly erodes a monster's armor. Once the armor is fully broken,
Wait, did you
can
hear that?
easily switch
Defense
back to Burst Shot to deal
reduction
much more damage.
based upon what type you're using. The armor piercing made the other version stronger.
Yeah. So you're forced to
Being
switch.
able to run while shooting with Rapid Shot is also great for when you want to perform a fighting retreat.
Reload!
Oh yeah, this
Using
is.
permafrost ammo with Rapid Shot is also useful if you need to retreat.
These would
When
be
you shoot
like
the ground, it
2
creates
links
ice
as well.
crystals. If
Like
you draw monsters back over these crystals, they explode, chilling the monsters. It's great if you want to set up a safe zone before pulling the next pack.
such a good way to do a ranged character setup in this game.
Slowing enemies down can come in handy if you want to use the incendiary version of Rapid Shot. Using this skill requires that you charge up a little bit before it fires, but as it continues to heat up, it will do more and more damage.
Jesus Christ. tracer
It has a really
rounds.
large clip size, so you can just keep firing and firing with it. But the other really useful feature is that when the crossbow is heated up, it adds extra fire damage to any grenade that you launch.
Oh, he's getting effed up.
Now I've been using explosive grenades here, but it will work equally as well with flash or oil grenades too. If you use it with oil grenades, the oil will catch fire immediately.
And I bet you there's like a fuse timer on the grenades as well, so they go off quicker, so they're like instant grenade launcher shots.
In before I have to spend 3 hours in order to metacraft a grenade that doesn't take 3 hours to
I don't even
blow
know.
up.
I don't even know what the
Another
crafting mods are
crossbow
going to be
type
for
that you can
this.
find is Power Shot. This one works just like a classic sniper rifle. Use it with armor-piercing ammo and it will penetrate armor on targets. So it's a good idea to use when something's
Yeah, who
really
cares how
tough.
they're gonna do the crafting too?
Goddamn camper bloody crossbow.
Now this skill has another interesting interaction with armor break.
Thanks for the follow,
If an
Gabby.
enemy has its armor broken, then your Power Shot hits a weak spot and does a huge amount of single target damage, with a bunch of extra stun for good measure.
It's so
People are going to be
satisfying.
hitting 360 no scopes with the snipers.
Oh man, you know it. It's going to be like Call of Duty and Path of Exile.
Now, the incendiary version of Power Shot is more like a rocket launcher. It does a big explosive blast at a distance.
Oh, come on, really? This is like Quake 3 and Path of Exile.
Good heavens, the Path of Exile chat's going crazy. They
Yeah,
just
man,
do
it's
not
just-
care.
One of the really useful features of this version is that you can explode any grenades that happen to be on the ground.
Thanks for the gifted subs, Nom. Appreciate it, dude. This is just crazy. This is insane.
This combo also works really well with Incendiary Rapid Shot. I'm going to charge up the heat on my crossbow, shoot out a bunch of grenades, and then start the fireworks with a Power Shot.
Oh my
How much of
god,
the
what?
POE 2 stuff is going to be introduced back into POE 1, like Lassad movement and stuff like that.
The ice version
Yeah.
of Power Shot creates frost walls at a distance. This is great for crowd controlling monsters in tight passages.
It is very Grim Dawnish, isn't it?
The wall segments have other uses too. If they get destroyed by monsters, then they will explode, doing a small amount of damage.
I control with Ice Wall again, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's this is going to
Now,
be
remember
a
that
huge
burst shot
league.
combo with frozen enemies we did earlier? That works with ice walls too. Let's put burst shot back on.
This is just crazy. Like,
Now I
fucking
can
hell.
fill up this area with ice walls, then shoot them with armor-piercing burst shot for a huge amount of damage.
So you can blow the ice wall's actually a combat skill now. Fair enough, Funky. We're excited. This is great. I love this.
Alright, it's time to face the boss for this area. Let's see how we fare against her with all the skills I've shown you so far.
Like, this hasn't been done in a ARPG like this before. You're the boss.
You're back.
Seems like the DPS in this is going to be a lot more burst heavy.
Yeah. That's what it felt like in Exile Con too. What type of nightmare fuel is this?
Yeah, their enemy creation is absolutely fantastic.
It's unbelievable. It feels like, was it Dark Souls? Was there a game that came out that was like Dark Souls? Like, you're not realistically going to switch weapons like that mid-boss fight, like... Yeah, Bloodborne. It feels like Bloodborne. I like it. It looks good.
For someone who likes one-button setups like I do, this almost feels nightmarish, but also I just can't stop looking at how stunning it is.
But it's so balanced. It just looks like it works, which is good. But you know, like it's on two link or 3 link setup, so it's going to be way better than this.
It's got an exceptional amount of flow. I got to give it that.
Oh yeah, you'll get the usual people who are just naysayers. I don't think this looks bad at all. I think it looks great. Like, you don't have to play this class.
What is going on in this
Oh hey, a proper death animation.
And that's the Mercenary.
Instead of it
Feels
just
totally
disappearing.
different than anything we've made before.
Exactly.
And shows you the range of what's possible in Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. Void of what people might say, I reckon it's really innovative, to be
We're going
honest
to be
with you.
showing off a lot more about Path of Exile 2 as we approach its beta, but in the meantime, we've got a Path of Exile 1 expansion coming out next week. I'm going to hand over to Mark, also known as Neon, to show you what's in store for POE 1.
Thanks,
Yeah, it
Jonathan.
is.
Let's go.
Well, let's just go ahead and get straight on into it. Here's the trailer for Path of Exile Affliction.
Oh yeah, when do we get the patch notes?
Something moves in the mists. Something sinister. Thorn,
Already hyped.
rot, plague, and claw.
Oh, so
The
it looks like Delve.
affliction
We're gonna be good.
It hungers for more.
Absolutely. You know, it almost reminds me of like a Delve plus synthesis,
Treads
where it's
light
revealing as you
in the
go.
wildwood,
Exactly.
which shifts and fights.
Oh, Infinite Dark Forest.
Accept our help. The ancient
What?
power of the Asmir.
What the fuck is this?
Beware the spirit
Additional ascendancy styles?
Oh, it's changes to ascendancies.
and the heart of evil that waits in the dark.
You know, when they let us craft our own passive trees, I was kind of, you know, losing my mind. But the
Willwood
fact that we can
ascendancies.
almost craft our ascendancies as well? What?
Transfiguration of gems. Oh, there you go, Bill.
Ready yourself.
Ultimatum, yeah.
I will be waiting.
Yes.
Honestly, yeah, it reminds me a lot of Delve, because it looks like it has other League mechanics
Yeah.
inside of it, like Delve does with Beyond and all that kind of stuff.
That's an insane. So what the fuck is this?
Honestly, there's no... This is going to be a League mechanic we
In the
play
Affliction
side by
League,
side with
you will
Delve.
encounter sacred wisps, which beckon you to enter overgrown passageways that lead to the Viridian Wildwood.
Abyss.
A vile affliction has covered this forest with a foreboding darkness.
I
You'll need
really
to
like it.
uncover the
I like
forest
it.
mysteries to put a stop to the source of the affliction. As you approach the darkness, the wisps burn away its affliction. Make sure you tread carefully, because they only have a limited amount of power. But be warned, the darkness is full of cursed monsters that emerge to kill you.
Oh, we're good with Bone Shatter.
Wait, what's that
As
skill
you
he's
explore,
using?
you might see other types of wisps trapped
What was
inside the
it?
darkness.
Lacerate.
The Wildwood is trying to guide you towards clues about its affliction. Follow the trails of wisps by collecting them, and you may uncover many different secrets. New
Oh, this
characters
really
to
looks
find,
good. I love
shrines,
this.
boss battles, and all kinds of new encounters
This-
are lurking
this
in the
is
forest
Delve
just waiting for
2.0.
you to discover them. There are many rewards to earn for those brave enough to seek them.
Look at that enemy design.
It's a lot more boss-centric,
When
too,
the sacred
'cause
wisps run out of
you have
energy,
to
they'll
actually
return
dodge
you back
stuff
to where
now.
you came from. Any other types of wisps you have collected will return with you to Rayclast.
Almost reminds me of Harvest a little bit with
These wisps,
that
having
resources.
been saved from the affliction, disperse into the environment and inhabit randomly chosen monsters in the area, increasing
Whoa,
their
it
power
carries over.
and also their rewards. The different types of wisps have different effects on monsters, and sometimes more than one type will inhabit a single monster, making the fight even harder and even more rewarding. If this happens to a boss, you could be in for a tough fight, but if you can overcome it, your efforts will not be in vain. Primal Wisps grant an item rarity bonus to inhabited monsters. Wild Wisps grant an item quantity bonus, and Vivid Wisps cause them to drop currency items. If a monster gets all 3 types, they'll drop more items of a higher rarity and a lower currency.
This league mechanic is going to drop bank this league.
While exploring the Wildwood, you might find some of the last few Asmeri wanderers who have managed to survive in the forest since it was cursed. Each of them have different survival specializations, and they are willing to teach you if you agree to help them defeat the source of the affliction, the King in the Mists. Choose which of the Asmeri that you will complete quests for to unlock one of 3 new Ascendancy classes, which you can have in addition to your regular Ascendancy class.
Double Ascendancy.
Up to 8 points for these classes are unlocked as you complete more quests for the Asmeri you are training under. The Warden of Eves can teach you to become a Warden of the Magi, a powerful class that takes advantage of wilderness knowledge. A Warden of the Magi can learn to use tinctures which coat their weapon, granting various powerful effects.
Whoa, that's like the grenade launcher attachments in POE 2.
And toggle them on and off at will.
Are we doing... There's a new step, or is
you can only have one enabled at a time,
the POE
but the effects are quite
This is for the new league.
so you may want to have more than one equipped and swap between them during combat.
What the hell?
For example, equip the Ironwood Tincture to gain the benefit of always stunning enemies on full life.
What?
Guaranteed stun? What?
Tinctures can also get random
bosses?
mods. This one in particular adds stacks of wither to targets on full life, and steals frenzy charges on hit, which makes it great as an initiator. When you are fighting rare monsters or finishing off tough bosses, you will want to swap to the Oak Branch Tincture, which grants Culling Strike, increased damage against enemies on low life, and has a chance to steal a mod from rare enemies.
It also reminds me of the relics during Sanctum, where it just has some crazy modifiers.
Using Primal Wisps when you find her in the
Steel
forest,
Poucher
so keep an eye out
Onslaught?
for her. As a Warden of the Magi gains more Ascendancy points, they gain access to more skills that let them further specialize in tinctures.
Oh, this is
For
insane.
example, Nature's Concoction allows you to invest in having your tinctures enhance your flasks. This Ascendancy skill makes it important to think about which slots your tinctures are placed in, and what flasks they are adjacent to. You will have better uptime on those flasks, and they'll be stronger as a result. But there are plenty more skills to choose even if you don't want to engage with tinctures. For example, another new ability to unlock is Bark Skin.
Is that a tank skill? Oh, fucking...
It's a reservation skill that causes bark to grow all over your body, increasing armor.
Yep, alright,
Armor,
so
let's go.
Yep, Bone Shatter, boys.
Increasing your evasion.
God tier.
Over time, the bark will grow back, removing the evasion bonus, but increasing your armor again.
Wait, if it gives evasion while it's broken, how does that work with the one that converts evasion into armor? Would you just always have armor?
It'll break the mechanic.
One powerful ability you can choose is Blood Hunt, which grants an active skill called Ravenous. This skill lets you see what type a monster is under its life bar, whether it is a demon, beast, undead, construct, or humanoid. Consuming a corpse with this skill gives a buff to damage against that type of monster, and reduces damage taken by.
I'm all for this.
You can only have one type active at a time, so it's a good idea to choose wisely for the area that you are in. Some bosses, like the Maven, are eldritch in nature and don't conform to the regular corpses that you have access to. But don't worry. The Breaker of Oaths has a shop where you can trade wild wisps for corpses that you can place on the ground wherever you are. Buy an Eldritch Corpse and you will be able to get the bonus while fighting Eldritch entities like the Maven.
Was that?
Oh, it's an eyeball from the Elder
the
fight.
Corpses he sells are not monsters you normally encounter. You might want to try turning some of these corpses into specters, to take advantage of some of the unique abilities these monsters have.
Oh my god.
What?
Holy shit. That's... Oh my god!
Called it the Spectre rework. What in the world?
There is a trio of curses that you can pick from.
Well, Spectre's
building
back.
This league,
giving
Jesus.
them life degen and making them explode for massive damage when they are near death. One of them prevents enemies from dealing damage for the latter portion of its duration, which is quite powerful against bosses. This curse creates the interesting build decision of whether or not you should increase curse duration or reduce it. The final curse is a mark that causes enemy phantasms to be spawned when you hit the marked enemy. These phantasms aren't on your side, so they work well with on-hit and on-kill trigger effects, for example.
What is that weapon?
Auto bomber go
The
burr
Primal
because
Huntress
of that.
can teach you to become a Wildwood Primalist.
Oh my god.
Unlike the other new ascendancies, the Primal Huntress lets you customize your tree.
You
Craft my ascendancy. Let's go.
You do this with charms that you can buy from the Primal Huntress for Vivid Wisps.
Oh my god.
Charms have randomly generated mods, which give stats from regular ascendancy classes.
What the
allowing you to
hell?
create your own hybrid ascendancy class.
What the... Yeah, we're all going to be going that.
Charms are magic items that are aligned with different attributes. So for example, this
Fortify.
Ursine charm is strength aligned, and has
That's
gotten the
OP.
melee hit.
Well, it
have a
has the
chance
movement
to
speed
fortify
cannot be
stat
modified
from
below
the
base
champion.
value. That's literally
And
an
the ability to
ascendancy.
stop your movement
What?
speed
Yeah.
going below base from the Juggernaut.
You
This
can make it
interline
tankier.
Corvine charm
What the...
lets you get the stat that makes your consecrated ground effects linger from the
Yeah,
Inquisitor, and the effect that makes cursed enemies explode from the Occultist. Some of the combination of mods that you might find for sale on charms can be
You
extremely
can just
powerful.
be an
So keep a lookout for the
ascendant as
Primal Huntress's
any
shop, even if you're not
ascendancy?
playing
What?
as a
Minimum
Primalist.
charges?
As a Primalist, you also get access to a few other interesting abilities. Use Warcries next to corpses and they have a chance to drop an extra item.
Oh my
It opens
god.
nearby chests too.
We are abusing that in every possible way.
The Primalist also gets access to a
We're
small extra backpack.
abusing it.
Imagine
just in
using
case
that
you find
down a
yourself
delve.
needing
That
to
would be
cart more items to
crazy.
town during your map runs.
Oh, this is
Hey,
going to
Jorg,
be...
I expect the
If you are
build
unhappy
guide
with the
by
class
this
you
by the end of
picked,
the day.
or you just happen to find a really great item for another one of the classes, you are able to change which class you are using next time you find one of the Asmeri Wanderers.
Oh my
Just
God.
remember that you will have to do their quests in order to gain the ascendancy points for that class. These quests will lead you towards the ultimate goal of the Asmeri: finding
is
the King in the Mists,
madness.
defeating him, and cleansing the forest of its affliction once
Oh, we're
and
going
for
to
all.
be murdering the King in the Mist.
There are new uniques to find.
Yeah, I imagine
rewards to
a
claim,
build that can
and
handle
new
delve
ascendancy
is going to
classes to master
absolutely
in the
beat the
affliction
snot out of this league mechanic.
Oh yeah, we're going to punish it.
Now that we've covered what's
Here
in
we
the
go.
league, let's talk about some of the changes you can expect to the core game in 323. For a start, Ultimatum is finally going core. When talking to players at ExileCon, it was the #1 feature that people requested.
There you go, they're listening.
When playing through endgame maps, you may sometimes encounter the Trial Master, who offers you a choice to undertake a deadly Val trial in exchange for great rewards.
This is going to be an amazing league.
If you defeat the trial, he offers to go double or
Ultimatum
nothing
plus
with you.
rituals.
Do you take
just
the risk and go for
let's
an even
go
better
gauntlet.
reward? Or do you take the winnings you have already earned off the table
I
and go
like this.
home? We've
This
done a
is-
full
this is
rebalance of
crazy.
Ultimatum and have added many new mods and rewards, including both new and reworked uniques. The base number of rounds for an
What
Ultimatum
is
trial
that?
is now always 10, with a chance to spawn the trial master boss fight on the 10th
maximum
round, if you are
quality
able to
is
make it that far.
200%?
As part of 323, we have also removed Metamorph from the game. All the Catalyst rewards from Metamorph have now been moved to be rewards for Ultimatum.
Oh, they've
Oh,
removed
sad.
We've also added a
Metamorph
new
moment.
Val-themed Catalyst that works on corrupted items. As is normal for most content that gets added to endgame, we have introduced new Ultimatum passive skills to the Atlas tree.
That's huge.
One great example is the
played Metamorph.
Keystone Grueling Gauntlet. It makes Ultimatums last 3 extra rounds, but you cannot choose the modifiers, and it prevents the final Trial Master boss fight from spawning. The level of challenge becomes extreme during the last 3 rounds, and not being able to choose the modifiers makes it even harder. But the rewards are insane, and for those with very high-end characters, it might be a bet worth making.
Hell
There are
yeah.
lots of other Atlas passive skills you can pick from for Ultimatums,
Don't buffer now.
so choose wisely. Now, it's time to talk about one of the largest metagame changes we've ever made. There were 3 systems in Path of Exile that were all trying to subtly modify the behavior of skills. These were alternate quality gems, Labyrinth Helmet enchants, and unique threshold
What?
gems. We've combined all of these together to create a new system called Transfigured Gems that allows us to fully achieve the goal of these 3 systems and then some. Transfigured Gems are alternative versions of existing skill gems that have different functionality and balance from their regular versions. We have added a huge number of these with interesting variations that drastically change how existing skills play.
What?
For example, Frostbomb of
So
Instability.
I get to craft my own gems
Changes it from a
too.
cooldown skill that you can cast occasionally for a large explosion into a skill that you can cast continuously but deals less damage and doesn't apply cold exposure.
And craft
It changes the role of Frostbomb from a utility skill into a main damaging skill. Another example is Detonate Dead of Scavenging. You can't use it on corpses that were created by Desecrate or Unearth, but in exchange it does a whole lot more damage. You won't be able to use it as your main reliable source of damage, but it's a great skill to use as a Falling utility to get some extreme burst damage. Raise Zombie of Falling. Instead of raising a zombie from a corpse, you summon them from midair. They fall to their death, dealing
It's a
AoE damage
rain
with their
in
light.
men.
Oh
So
my
it's a physical
god.
damage version of Firestorm. You should consider that it scales with minion damage and also triggers on-death minion.
Oh my god.
Blight of Contagion. This version of
What?
Blight is now spread by Contagion, so you can use it as part
Hold
of
on, that would be a sick Death's
We have a
Oath
huge
build.
number of
What?
these. Transfigure Firestorm into Firestorm with Meteors, Transfigure Blade Trap into Blade Trap of Great Swords, Transfigure Barrage into
Meteors!
Barrage of Volley Fire, and so on. There is a lot to experiment with, and we look forward to seeing what builds you can come up with.
Oh my
But how do you
god.
get Transfigure gems? The Divine Font at the end of the Eternal Labyrinth has been changed to a gem crafting device that can modify your skill and support gems in a lot of new ways. One of the options you can now choose is to turn a skill gem into one of 3 transfigured gems. But that isn't all the Divine Font can do. It has a lot of other gem crafting options you can use. For example, you can add quality to gems,
100
add
million
experience to
experience.
gems,
What?
sacrifice a gem for 1 or more treasure keys to open Azara's
I imagine the
chests,
people
and you
who
can even
level
exchange
gems for
support gems
currency are going to
exceptional
have some
support gems
crazy
like
stuff
Empower
to do
or
in lab
Enlighten.
now.
These are just some of the options you'll find the Divine Font is now capable of. In order to replace the rewards and heist that previously gave alternate quality gems, we have done a rebalance of the rewards of heist as well. Experimented base types have been rebalanced. New replica uniques have been added and old
Oh
ones
my
changed,
God.
and we have increased the amount of currency from display cases as well.
This
Heist
is
is going to
it.
go
On top
crazy
of this,
too.
we have gone through and buffed the quality stats on most damage dealing skills. In most cases, they will be significantly more powerful than before, and also more interesting. Overall, this is one of the largest metagame shifts that we've ever done. There are so many crazy new skill combinations to plan around, so we expect to see some really interesting new builds.
I don't even know
Man,
where
get
to
over like a
start.
transfigured
Next
gem
up,
for
I'd like to
leveling
hand
is
back over
going
to Chris to talk
just
about
be
the new
crazy.
support packs.
I don't even know where we're going to start
At this
with
point,
that.
we'd usually talk about the
It's
League
insane.
supporter packs. We're doing things a bit differently this year. Rather than releasing League
This
supporter
is
packs today
this
and then
is
our annual core packs
ludicrous.
2 weeks
Everyone's
later,
going to be going
we've combined
crazy
it all
for
together
builds
into
for
a
this
strong
stuff.
set of core supporter
It's going to be
packs that will
around the
released
clock to
alongside
figure out
Path of
what
Exile Affliction
can be
next
done.
week. The series contains 5 packs, each with its
So
full value
cool.
in points and a collection of exclusive cosmetic microtransactions.
I got to see what the support
The
packs
higher
are. See if I
packs
have to
contain
throw money
physical
at it.
merchandise.
I already got the
We'll unveil the full details of each of the packs at release next week, but in the meantime, here's a sneak peek of some of their exclusive cosmetic microtransactions.
Oh, it looks so cool.
These packs will be available for purchase when Path of Exile Affliction launches on the 8th of December.
Yeah, labbing is going to be
Thank
a
you so much
gonna
for
be a
your
thing
ongoing
now. Like,
support.
what is that? I
Okay,
want
the
it.
hand. That was cool.
We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Affliction's full patch notes.
Oh,
With the release at the end of next week, our community
Yeah, I
team will
need
be
that.
posting crucial information you'll need for Affliction's release. Keep an eye on the news. On release weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and this season's Kyrix Vault Pass. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our
We have
latest
patch
developments.
notes today
We're
as
looking
well.
forward to exploring the Viridian Wildwood with you next
well,
week.
I have some work to do
We'll
this
begin
weekend.
the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
You're going to have your
man,
work
you don't-
for you
you
for
don't
the
look too
next
good.
month.
You look kind of flushed there, Jorgen. I think you should probably call out.
Dude, I don't even know how. Like the amount of off-meta
got
builds
you
that I
got-
play.
You got COVID.
It's just going to be off-meta build
It's going to be
central. Like,
yeah, it's going to be so busy
well,
for everyone that makes content for Path of Exile for the next month.
exactly. Like, well, we don't even know what skills we're getting yet. So, like, the amount of
They
meta-
said it's somewhere over 100, so borderline everything.
basically anything.
Are they
that
getting
was
rid of
there has
helmet
changed.
enchants?
Yeah, I think that's the case. There's
The,
no longer helmet chance.
Yeah,
because-
lab enchants, alt qualities, and threshold jewels.
But the
Which
plus,
means Mage Skeleton is going to be a transfigured gem and not a
ZD here,
craftable
folks.
gem.
Exiles, welcome for a
Shut
giant jam-packed Q&A after a huge reveal.
yeah,
session.
lab
We
running
have
is
here
going to be a
today
thing. Yep.
Chris, Jonathan, and Mark. 3 for the price of 1 this time around, not just Chris. Welcome, folks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Cheers.
Excellent.
So
Folks, we're
whatever,
moving
Shell.
through
Call me
things
out
in
now,
rough
man.
order that we saw things
Lab
today
running's
during
gonna
the
be a
reveal. So
thing
starting
again,
with
yeah.
Path of Exile 2 and then moving through some of the new Path of Exile 1 features. So get those questions in through Twitch chat, and we'll sprinkle those in through each of those various
Falling
sections. So, but
zombies
first, let's talk
looks
about that new
insane.
movement scheme that was revealed with the
Having it's a rain
class.
and min build is
So,
going to
we
be
have
on the
the new
top of my
WASD
list this week.
movement.
Going to be so
And does this
trolly
alternate control
on every
scheme
possible
work
way.
with other classes and builds, or is it mainly intended for like this shooter mercenary style?
Oh shit!
When we put it in, I was totally thinking that it was
skin.
going to be something that you'd want to
Far
use
out,
with
dude.
ranged characters way more.
Hey,
But
that's
actually,
so I'm expecting
when I
build
tried
guides, like I
out
said,
some
end of
melee
the day.
stuff, I was pretty
I
sold on it.
appreciate it,
Actually, it was
dude.
better than I was expecting. There's still a few tweaks to do to make that perfect internally, but like
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty
So I
bitchin'
think
league, I
I'm
think.
probably I think I'm going to be playing that way myself. Actually, even though I was a bit of a skeptic at first of WASD for melee, I think it is good. But we want to make sure that everyone understands that you can change from one to the other whenever you want. It's just one of those things that like some people may prefer it, some people may not. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. WASD rather feels pretty good to me.
Need to lay
I
down.
was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. Like die hard action.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit.
Kind
That's
of guy myself.
big
For some
ass
reason,
overall.
the WASD stuff just feels really natural to play. I guess it's background in Crimson Land.
I think this is honestly the biggest league in general that we've had in almost a year or two.
Once you can get beyond
this is
that,
going to
it
be
is,
insane
like,
for
very,
just how
very
much
fun to
stuff
play.
we're going to
It
have to
was
deal
actually
with.
funny going,
I know,
I-
dude.
like, we put it
Ravucci,
up
get
here,
into
we
the
won
game
plan
now.
again
Learn it now.
recently,
You'll
and
be
like I was
fine.
immediately pressing WSD, like, oh shit.
This is a good time because we're all going to have to figure this out
Keep
now
doing the
because
exact same thing.
nobody's going to know
But I
what the
also
hell we're
keep trying
doing.
to dodge it.
I had that same problem.
Now the
I was going to
bone chat
ask
should be
you
able
then,
to
can WASD movement be added to Path of Exile
lateral
1, or
too,
is it
no?
exclusively a POE 2
Yeah,
feature?
bone chat should be. Well,
probably
we
gonna
don't
be
know what
pretty
the
hard to
balancing
add it to
is,
POE1,
but
and the reason
it would
because
mean
the
they
number
could
of
as long as they don't
actions you
get
need
it
to support,
changes.
like arbitrary
Gas
directional
nerve
movement
hammer.
like that is really high, and the rigs in POE1
I mean,
are
yeah,
so
they'll
old,
probably still be able to do
that it would be
labs
really,
in
really
general,
difficult to add.
but
So I
the
think it's
problem
probably
is
like
that
quite
lab runners are
unlikely. And just in
typically
general, the
super
animation stuff that we're doing in
advanced, like
POE2,
high
like it's just a
speed
different level.
builds.
So it was like
Well, they're like super
okay, I'm
fast.
not
They
going to
just
say
dodge
easy,
over
but it was
everything,
easier
quickly
to add
kill
it in
Zara.
POE2 than it would have been in POE1.
Yeah, they
by
just
far. So,
run to the
for
boss
now, I'd
fight
say
because they
it's
have
gonna be
some
POE2
kind of
only.
extension that tells them the map or
How have
whatever.
you found hotkey usage and things like that while moving
Actually,
around
that was a
with
good
WASD
comment from
movement?
Torvik. The
So
POB dev's
basically,
going to be going
one thing it does
ballistic
do is like, so
over
it's definitely
this.
a thing. But what personally,
Oh,
what I
I
found
feel
is that
so
you've
bad
effectively
for
got
the
the left
path of
click
building
freed up,
devs. They're going to just be
to
knee deep
put a
in
skill
crap
on.
to
So you kind
do.
of got like sort of
Oh,
you can have like sort of
having-
3 major
but-
skills on mouse.
and Bill, like
and
this
then,
feeds
having
into
other
every
stuff
league
on
we're
the
trying to
keyboard,
find new
and it works pretty
metas.
well for me because the stuff that I put on the keyboard at
Or
least
off
appears
meta
to be the sort of
builds.
more
Like now we
rarely
just got
used
100
stuff.
new off
They're
meta
still
builds
like
to try.
commonly used, but still a bit rarer. And so it wasn't too bad. I found it okay. It is a concern for sure.
Yeah,
Like I
it's gonna be-
suspect that
be
like
bonkers,
there
actually.
might be a few builds that would be a bit harder to do that way, but you
Yeah.
can always use the other control scheme if you want. But it's working really well for what we were doing there.
And how well does this translate to controllers then? You would think it'd be perfect for twin
I
sticks.
reckon that second
It is. So we
ascendancy,
have also
like,
implemented
having a
so
dual
that the right
ascendancy is
stick you
gonna
can
be
use to aim
insane.
which direction that you're going in on controller. And
But I
it
missed
does
the
work
first
well
part
there.
of the affliction.
There's like a
the
bunch
first
of other
couple minutes
controller
of
stuff that
what
we've kind of been
the
fiddling
what
around
is.
with
Is
trying to
it
get
just
that better.
be just a
Yeah,
Delve
it
2.0,
definitely does
honestly,
help, in
it's
that
kind
direction
of
as well.
crazy.
Plus, it just kind of makes movement. Like there's actually
Yeah,
stuff
so
that you can
I
always
caught
do to
in. What
move
about
that we
the
can use,
bark
like
skin?
we can utilize the fact that we've got
Essentially,
the ability for the
a
character to face a different way when
abyss-like
they're walking.
portal
That actually
opens
makes,
up,
there's
and then
some
you just
cases
come
that
into
can
this
make
giant
the
map,
quick to
and
move
you
stuff
go
a bit more
searching
natural as
around
well.
for stuff that
So,
has minor
there's-
league mechanics,
there's kind of minor stuff,
bosses,
but, like, you know, the
NPCs.
animation does look
It just
actually better
opens
for
up
Pokemon
into
2
some
too,
really
like-
crazy stuff, and you have to
And what
quickly
sort of skills
find
can you use
stuff.
while moving? That was mentioned that some will be kind of like functional in that way.
Yeah, so we're
Alright, so
still
it's a time
like
thing.
going through and thinking exactly what we want
Nah,
to do
you
there.
have
But
a
It seems to
amount
be
of energy.
power
You
based.
definitely
The
want
more
to
you
have, I think, for
explore,
each
I guess the
build, a
more it
few
would take
skills
of a
that you can
gauge.
use,
Same
in
as
that way,
Delve.
because it does make combat feel faster when you can kind of be doing stuff on the way to the next monster, this kind of thing. It just kind of improves it in a way that once we tried it, we were just like, wow, that's actually really cool. It won't be like everything, or like a lot of the time, I think what we're doing is
So many people in Twitch chat are just
getting the,
absolutely throwing a conniption fit
we
about
can
lab
shorten
and
the
chance
windows,
disappearing.
because we've got this ability now. We
Oh,
can kind of
we're gonna
shorten
get
the
so much
windows
more out of
where
it.
you're not allowed to move with like
Yeah,
movement
Gorkin
out
added
in skills
in
as well.
the
So, like,
second
only,
ascendancy
right
set.
near the contact point, do you actually have to stop. And then for other skills, we can do them completely while you're moving. So
That's
like
crazy.
some of the skills that you might want to spam in some cases, things like that.
Now, I
can be
am
okay.
curious with
So I'm not gonna,
running
like, give you a list
Delve
or anything,
how
but yeah, we definitely wanna
much
have- make sure that
you
each
will
build has
experience,
skills that you can
because
do while
especially
moving
as you get
available,
into it, you get to
so
a
that
point
you
where
can
you
kind of
run
utilize the time
4 or
when
5
you're
maps
between
with
tasks.
scarabs, and then you're running
Skills that incorporate
Delve
more
for the next
movement
movement or even play with the lack of
should
movement,
still
like
use the
planting your feet.
What
Was that sorry?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I think Discord kind of lagged out for a second there.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the other thing as well is that is another question people have asked is like how does it work
Yeah.
when,
Oh, that was actually a good
you
question.
are
Somebody
using it to
in
move.
Twitch chat
And
said,
the
"What
answer
about
is honestly pretty simple. Like, you
item-based
click where you wanna
unique
move, and then you
skills?
move
Are
the
they
mouse
going to
and-
receive anything?
and
Because if
use the
these
skill in the other
transfigured
direction,
gems
and
are
then your character
getting
will just not be
absolutely
interrupted to do it,
crazy
they'll just keep moving
effects,
while you know,
I have a
shoot in the other
feeling
direction.
item-based skills are actually
that does work.
might
Like,
start
it is
lacking.
technically like, I mean, you know, it takes a bit more mouse movement to be able to do it if you want to be able to move while you're doing it, but it does work. So there's no technical disadvantage there other than just, I mean, effectively what you're doing is it's like what the same exact motion you do if you're stutter stepping, except that you're able to actually move at the same time while you're doing it.
Yeah,
Basically.
currency's going to be a lot more
like
available
queue up
this
a
week.
move command and then fire in the opposite direction or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Nah, no
You
Toda
find that
going
this
core.
is-
Toda's not
What's
core
that?
anymore.
I was saying it's like lower APM stutter stepping.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is like opening up a lot new design space for you with skills then? Because this is like a new way of thinking that
gonna make
you
us
haven't
way
really had
weak for this
access
shit?
to
That's
in terms of
fucked up.
skill design now.
For sure, there's definitely a lot of stuff like we haven't even really yet explored. All the
Honestly, I'm going to
repercussions
need a
on
week
other
to
builds
figure
as
out
much as
just
we'd
how many
like to yet.
potential
Like, there's a lot
skills
of stuff
they've
to train here
modified.
and kind of
Yeah,
get
we're
and
just going to
use
have
and
to
stuff for,
tick
but
through
yeah,
the
as I said, once we tried it,
POB.
it's just like, yeah,
It's a whole
we need to be
it's a whole
exploring this all
video.
throughout
It's a
what
whole
we're doing,
video.
making sure that we can
Like
take
3-hour
advantage of
video.
as
Just
much
highlight it
control as
and
possible when you've got like direct
highlight and type in bone shatter and
What we're
just see what
finding
pops
here
up.
is
Well,
the-
that's the thing.
the
Like
overarching goal with
Divergent
the new
Bone
characters
Shatter's
from
no longer
Path of
going
Exile
to
2
be
is
there.
that
So
control plays entirely differently.
what
We want
what's
basically
taking
releasing
Bone
12
Shat
games in one
Divergent
week,
Bone
play an
Shatter's
entirely
place is
different
going to be
style
the
with each
question.
character and feel compelled now that you've tried a mercenary, you want to try it.
And it could be something crazy.
Get a different experience. And this
I
means
really
that
hope they do
Jonathan's
something
team
nuts
is
with Flicker. If
pioneering
they do
these
something
new
with Flicker
things
Strike,
like
I
the,
swear.
WSD controls, using a class as an example, like the mercenary is the canonical WSD control one because of the crossbow stuff feeling like a gun.
Yeah, I think
And
they
then
do.
The fallout from that, of
So
course, is then it benefits all the other 11 classes.
Spectre
and
builds are
millions
going to
of
be
play
popping off
styles,
this
and that
league.
kind of falls through
Which
afterwards.
actually is good for
Absolutely.
Delve,
Experiment with how it
plus
actually
1
works on those
Spectre
classes.
chest.
Yeah, but
And plus 2
at
Spectre
the risk of
boosts.
going like off topic a little bit, I already noticed in previous reveals that like the melee stuff is getting a lot more fluid with a lot more movement and stuff like that. But a lot of that was
Yeah, Gazzy's probably going nuts over there on his
pre-scripted,
channel.
but modifiable movement
Yeah.
after the fact. Where you
Yeah,
can
He's
just
probably
change
just going
direction a
through
little bit
every
like that.
inch of the
But it
game
seems
trying to
like
figure out
now,
what
even-
bosses he can
even
probably
IBF
make a
has things
Spectre
like the
out of.
character's able to do a cleave, well, a couple
Thanks
extra
for the
steps, just
follow,
little things like
Melcrat.
that. So it seems like it's going to change gameplay a lot from Path of Exile 1 to 2.
I think it can, but we do have to be careful. Like, I don't want the feeling of just complete floatiness. Like we don't want. Like,
Well,
wouldn't
I
want
was
it so
going to
that
have
every
the
skill
build
you can just do
curation
without,
out
like,
by
while
midnight
moving
tonight as
arbitrarily.
well.
Like it needs to still feel
I've
like
already got a plan
like there's
with
at
that. I
least
just
some
need the
amount of
patch
the
notes
animation
and
where
then
you're
a
kind of
patch
like
note
locked into that
breakdown.
little bit.
But
So
yeah,
for something
we
like
once
cleave, for
it's in
example,
POV,
what
we
I
can
do
do a
is
video
you
on
can
that.
kind of step into it, and then you can move really quickly after the slash. But the actual slash itself, you need a bit of that sort of like.
So you're
locked in
saying
just so that
tonight
you-
at work
you've
I'll
got
be able to
something
log
going on
in
there, 'cause
and
otherwise it'll just feel like you kind
you'll
of
have
don't really
something up for
exist.
me
You're just
to
like
go
floating
screw around
around
with.
and not really.
Yeah, and this weekend it's
It's a
full.
little bit
I've got a
vague,
full
but,
production schedule, so
effectively,
I
I
got
just want to
about
avoid the kind
5
of feeling
videos
where,
to
the
work
mo-
on
where,
over the
where you don't
weekend.
feel like you're a real character in the world, which you can get if you just allow full unrestricted. Like if you do absolutely everything,
I'm already
while
at
moving
it.
and there was no slowdowns.
Middle
or
of
anything,
Act 5, so
it
I'm gonna
would
need
feel
something else.
real
So you're gonna have
floaty,
to
and I don't like
speed that up a little bit for
So,
me.
you know, it can be a bit of a little bit of an interesting one. You have to really look at the feel of every single skill and
Have a
kind
good
of
one, Nom.
get the timing windows exactly right for everything to be able to make it actually feel really solid and good. Yeah, if we're doing our job right, then every class should have quite a distinct feel as far as all that stuff goes.
Like, I get what you mean. Like, once you have more movement, that's when you can start playing with, like, okay, in what situations do we stop movement? Like, I noticed with the crossbow, for example, the character planted their feet for the shotgun shots, especially, and that made that look and feel a lot more impactful. So
Yep,
that's
exactly.
bad design there.
Exactly.
Perfect. Oh, on that note, then let's talk a
Yeah,
bit about
that'd
the
be the first
crossbows.
thing I pulled up in the
It seems
middle
they've,
of
they've changed
drafting
quite a bit
budget.
since the original reveal with the armor-piercing bolts and whatnot.
Yep, they have. Yep, that was that meme. Is no longer applicable, hopefully. Yeah, absolutely.
Patch
I mean,
notes reading is going to take the next
splits
6
to,
hours.
all of the classes
Before I
happened
put any
after that
curation
last,
up, I've got to get my
that-
head
the
around
last
it all.
reveal. And so then we were kind of like, we need to make sure that we're making. I didn't.
It doesn't
even,
look like
there
they're
were with the
retuning
mechanical
skills
ideas
that
of like having ammos and stuff
pre-existingly
like that for
exist
the
in
crossbows
base
before.
form, so that's a
But I
plus.
don't think we'd quite yet nailed the kind of like how.
Yeah,
is the
all
crossbow
league
actually
start
gonna
and
feel
stuff like
really
that is going to be
different from
virtually
play from
identical.
bow. And
The
it wasn't
bone
until I sort
shatter,
of made the
we do get
observation that, hey,
affected with the
you know, like,
24%
if
for
we're
one
like a crossbow, like if you pull the trigger
additional
on a
trauma
crossbow,
stack.
it needs to
So
fire instantly.
that's where
We
the
should be
alt
putting the
gems are going to
contact
come
point
in. So it
literally
is
at
going to
0
change
on the
bone
animation.
shatter,
So
but
it's
I
just
reckon
over
there'll be a
technical term, like,
compensator
contact point
there.
just means
I reckon it'll be built
point
into the
where
gem.
the damage happens, etc., etc. You know,
But
we
it's
need to
gonna
move that
be
right
hard
to
to
the
get the
start. And if
gem.
we do that, like what kind of things, you know, would
Unless
need
you
to
run
change?
lab multiple
We actually
times.
found there was like a grab bag. Like as soon as we did
Actually,
that, there was like
might
a
be
grab
easy.
bag of issues.
Might be
that
really easy.
bit off topic, but it's like the amount of engine
come on, man.
brokenness that the mercenary brought to the front was so high. like the amount of things like that we had to fix in order to make the mercenary work in the engine was just ridiculous. Like I found so many bugs.
I don't
mean, these
think
are all
the
going to be
starter
fixed,
meta
by the
will
way, in
change
POE
either.
1
I
as well,
think the
because the
starter
engine
meta
is
is
shared.
still
But it's like,
consistent. It's what we can do
I
beyond
found
the
out
starter meta that we don't know about.
projectiles like disappear a frame before they arrive at the destination, and they appear 1 frame late after
But
they
it
leave
means
your
we
character
might
as
be
well.
able to get
And
alt
it
bone
turns out
shatter
all objects
early.
when they're created
Because if
appear
you're doing
33
lab early
milliseconds
on,
late from when they actually render.
then it
And like there was stuff with trail. I mean, like it was just actually like, because like when you're dealing with something
which
like
means
this,
you
like,
could
if you've got,
get
like,
your enchant
a bullet
craft earlier
effectively traveling
potentially, which
ultra
would make it
fast,
more
It
accessible.
had to happen instantly as soon as you click, and like all
It
these
really
things. There was,
depends
like,
on how they do
so many
tiering,
engine things.
because
Where it's like
if
speeding all
it
this
follows
shit up, and, like,
enchants
the
the way
engines
it
just
kind of
started
does
breaking
now,
all over the place. So, yeah,
T1
there
lab,
was a
I don't
lot
imagine will
there
actually
was a
give
lot
us
of
too
technical
much for these
improvements that had to
transfigured
happen in order to
gems.
make that
No,
make
but
that
it
make
might
that stuff
give
work.
us
Not to even
something.
mention the whole like WSD and all the animation system stuff, and yeah,
Whereas,
it was
yeah,
pretty
first
crazy.
T1 lab was
So
useless.
I'm really
so-
glad to remove a lot of jank that existed. That
I
we
imagine
hadn't
T1
noticed
lab's
before,
probably going
because
to be
things
like
went
gym
fast enough
experience,
to
gym
see the problems,
quality, stuff like
and,
that.
you know, there was a lot of like frame by framing it and like making sure that every single frame is perfect and all that sort of stuff going on. And yeah, it was pretty crazy during the development of this stuff.
I love how to hear how that pans out in terms of improvements.
Sure.
So on the crossbows,
Yeah, exactly.
I noticed that they have the new like skill bound to the weapon thing where they fire differently. So you have your shotgun crossbow and you have your semi-automatic crossbow or whatever. Are we mostly going to be modifying those primary skills, or are there going to be other primary separate skills that, or just kind of more ammo types that modify the base
Actually,
skills?
it'd be easier to get
So there's definitely going to be more
enlightened
ammo
and
types. There
power
will be other skills,
and-
but what we did to sort of
That was
solve,
the other
as it
one?
were, the
Enhance,
crossbow, like having crossbow
because you
skills
can
that
convert
aren't
the
tied
gems
to the
now.
primary firing type, was to have the attachments. And so those basically are effectively skill
I'm
gems. except
curious
that
at
you
how the
equip them where
gem
you equip
market's
a
going to
pivot
be this
instead.
time around, because
But
I
they have
imagine it's
support
going to be
gems and
so
everything like that. And
volatile
effectively,
with
whenever we
people
want
trying to
have
figure out
a,
pricing.
like a
I
crossbow
reckon there'll
skill,
be
as it
like
were,
a
that isn't
super
related
rare
to one of
roll,
those,
but I think it
primary
might
firing
actually
types,
drop the value
then
because
that'll
it'll be
where that
more
can go.
accessible. Just run
And,
lab, you pop your gem in and mod
there's
it.
way more than what we even showed there. Like we just showed like some grenades, but there's all sorts of other quirky types that have been come up with that you can attach to your crossbow. Like I know someone made like a bayonet at one point. I'm not sure how we're going to use that, but I don't know if that one will actually be useful. But we'll see. We've got a model for it. We'll see if we'll experiment with it. But yeah, there's those. But I mean, there's also other things, of course. Like there's stuff that we didn't show here. Like there's still the what do you call them? The oh god, the crossbows that pop up when you summon the ballista totems. There's still ballista totems and other things like that, and like various other skills. So there's definitely other skills that we expect this class to use, but we kind of ran out of like time to be able to show like all the different things that you can do. And
I
we'll
reckon,
show more
but
of those later.
they're
there's gonna be other stuff that you can
significantly
fill your skill
changing the
slots
skill
with, for
checker
sure.
eater.
It's
So
something
it'll
like that.
actually make like
So are some of those skills going to
rolling
become crossbow
magma
skills?
workable.
Is
It'll
it gonna
make
be shared
firestorm into
across the two?
comet. Like
there are certainly some concepts
that's
that we
awesome.
might. I mean, look, when
Like, it should
we're
be
designing
huge.
the classes, we're kind of like we do look at POE.
I imagine there's going to be a lot more gym
from,
interactions too,
to
because
kind of,
they showed off the whole
to
blight contagion
use.
thing. I wonder if
And
they're
there
doing
might have
that
been
for
a
some of the
couple
other
of things
skills
that
too.
we've,
Yeah.
like, sort of used
Oh
as
yeah, man.
concepts,
Well,
but
that's one
overall, it's
example.
supposed
We
to
got 100
feel,
combos. So
this is distinct, and I'm sure maybe there'll be a time where like this is better suited as a crossbow skill than a bow skill. But in general, I guess like
I'll probably
we're
run
looking at
Ultimatum
designing
and
things
bloody,
like this is a full
Delve.
new game. Like we're designing skills again. Like there will be cases where we go back and we're like, hey, this POE1 skill is still great. Let's port it over. But in almost all cases, the skills get changed a lot. Like I mean, when you saw the sorceress when we announced all the stuff there, it's like yeah, there were skills from POE1, but like the changes to them
It
were
might
such
be
that like
doable
they
now,
don't
too.
really feel the same at all. So it's they kind of end up quite different.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing. Like,
I'm just really hoping that we can run
some pretty big changes.
this affliction mechanic
Yeah.
quickly
So the crossbow's
enough.
exclusive to the
Because
mercenary,
as
or
I
are they
said,
something anyone
running
can use?
delve, I feel like
I mean, just like
it's going to be
anything
one
in
of those
POE, everyone
things
can always
where
use everything. I mean,
you have
we
to
obviously, when
balance
we're
how
showing
long
stuff,
you're
we sort of
taking
show
the
it as if,
affliction
like,
versus
this is
losing
a
out
thing
on
restricted to this
delve.
class, but it isn't, of course.
But I
Like,
think the
you can use
big
it
thing
anyway.
is,
And
we
one
get
thing we
a-
definitely try to
we
do
get
is
that
make sure that
ascendancy now where we
there are
can double
keywords
pop
that are usable
corpses
between
for
the
loot.
classes to
So
make sure, like, even if we don't know exactly how that'll be useful,
I'm okay with
like,
anything if I can
that
double
they
pop
can lead
corpses
to
for
things
loot.
that can be interesting. So, for example, on the crossbow there, we had armor break being used, which is the same mechanic we were using on the
They're
warrior.
still talking POE
And,
too. Like, we
I mean,
just
look,
want to know about
maybe in
affliction.
theory someone could make a crossbow / mace build. I don't know how that would work, but what I'm saying is like by having the shared keywords across different classes, it just means that if someone wants to come up with something weird, they can do that.
This
so, yeah,
advertising advertising on Twitch is super
I'm definitely
annoying.
going to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm definitely going to do armor piercing bolt, crossbow, and then always crit. it's gonna happen.
Well, I reckon
I mean, that's probably pretty
Necromancer
broken,
with
actually,
raining
as it stands
zombies
right
is
now.
going
I
to be
bet it's
insane.
actually like real broken.
Because it scales off
Yeah.
the minion damage.
With it seems like Disco died for the stream a little bit there. Sorry, Jonathan, what did you say you were, Mark, what did you say you were going to do?
Oh, it's using armor piercing bolts to get armor break from a distance, and then using Sunder which is a skill we showed on the warrior, because Sunder gets always crit and higher crit damage
if the target's armor
if the target's armor broken. So
yeah, I know. I'm on my,
when we showed the warrior, you
laptop,
have to use
I use
armor
their
break,
block
which
on
is
my
I
main
guess
PC.
kind of heavy strike-esque.
Yeah.
You know, right in the face to break the armor. But now I'll just do it from a distance, and then Sunder from a distance, and.
Right. So yeah, there's a potential build there, for sure.
We've got the weapons swapping and the tree swapping and stuff. I
Yeah,
hope we see
it
some
works.
hybrid melee ranged. It's a great
it can happen.
playstyle.
It can happen.
Especially for the mercenary, I feel it'd be a great fit. But moving on a little bit, we've got the oil grenade, and that effectively showed some environmental interactions, lighting a patch of oil on the ground on fire. Is that something you might expand to with other skills, enemy abilities, or even like combat areas? Like, here's an oil barrel, you can light that on fire or something.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely love that stuff, like the environmental stuff. But I mean, even with the other skills we're designing, like, I mean, things like the volcano interaction with the
like
druid.
It's actually
That's
fleshed
another
out
example
for
that
once.
kind of like place a thing in the world, and then you can do something with it.
They're already kicking
I
the
quite
shit out
like
of
that
D4.
stuff.
This
I
probably
think it's pretty
put
cool.
the nail in the coffin. I don't think
yeah, I
it's a good
absolutely
league.
want to be doing more of that. I mean, and
Yeah.
the more I guess state you can add to get a bit technical about it to the world, where it's like, you know, placing a thing like all that stuff allows you to do more setting up for something you're going to do afterwards, which I think
It's actually got an outcome that
combos and things like that. So,
you know,
yeah, like
it's a good outcome. Like,
we do have
it's
monsters
something worth
integrating
playing
with
the
that
league
as well.
mechanic
Like
for.
we have, to give a couple examples, we have explosive barrels with lines of gunpowder, and the lines are randomly generated, and then you have monsters with torches that will run up and set them on fire.
Yeah.
And we've got another one as well that throws. It's like more of an alchemist monster, and it throws two types of, I guess, flasks or concoctions, and one creates ground type A and one creates ground type B, and if they mix, they end up creating a new type of ground type and exploding and doing massive AoE damage, like just chemical reactions.
Yeah.
It's coming up with a whole alchemy system.
same with the
environmental
Coda.
reactions.
It's got. We
Rewards
tried
were
it in
okay. I mean, I
Heist,
got lucky,
surprise.
got
I don't
3
know if
doctor
anyone
cards
even
in the,
POE1 notices this,
the
but
first
there,
week, but
there is oil
was
there
it.
that does catch on fire. It just doesn't look anywhere near as good. Just because like where the art is and where the effects is now for POE2 is just allowing things to look incredible.
Similarly, we're seeing like more and more powerful control and utility effects. Like, for example, in this clip, we saw the shots placing ice walls, and they were like blocking and taunting enemies. I noticed, it seemed. How do you keep these sorts of effects like feeling powerful and relevant in boss fights without just kind of breaking the fight or trivializing them?
I mean, on some level, like, we have to be able to let players use those tools in boss fights, because otherwise there's no point in them. Like, I really want it to be the kind of game where you can use that kind of more control type stuff. And I mean, like, it's funny because a lot of the designers, when we talk to them, we're like, "Hey, we should allow this," and they're like, "Oh my god, that's like that."
Between double
crazy
popping
because,
loot
like, it's gonna
and
be way too
craftable
easy.
ascendancy, I
and
feel
then
like the
Marco looked at
craftable
us and he goes,
ascendancy
"It's not
one's
that
going to be the
broken.
most used.
It's not that broken." It's
Yeah.
like you look at some of the stuff you can
Hands
do
down.
in POE1, and I'm like, the ability to like freeze people in place with walls is like nothing compared to like
No, I
the
think
ridiculousness that your character
Chris's
can
POE
get to.
one
So yeah, like when you
dedicated,
actually
but
think about
I
it,
think
like,
they said at ExileCon he wasn't going to
it's
be
not that
overtly
broken, really.
involved
I
in
mean,
POE2
and we
the
want
way
players to
that
have fun at the
Jonathan
end of
is.
the day, right? We want them to be able to use those tools, and I quite enjoy it. But in particular, though, with the ice, though, those walls, once a monster gets above a certain size, they no longer get blocked by them, and they run through them. They still get they explode. So Ursia, you might have noticed, like the baby wasn't able to get through the walls, but Ursia can run through them, and then they just
Now, something I'm curious about with Affliction
the
League,
skill actually
can you
changes
hit
a bit.
off-screen
Like, against small
enemies, or are they
monsters,
actually considered
they have
deloaded
to, like,
until
stop
you
and
see
attack. It
them?
completely blocks them in, and they can't get through.
Dunno.
But against large monsters, the
find
monster
out.
rolls right through it, but then they explode and get chilled. So it kind of changes the function a little bit for
Yeah,
boss
possibly
versus
Rage.
the small monsters, and so that's why that particular skill, I think, is actually fine in that regard. So yeah, there's little tricks like that we can do, and I think I honestly really enjoy the stuff we're doing with monster size, which was never a factor in POE1 design.
Sort of taking
monster size
away
means
from
that
being
we
the
can say,
face
okay,
of
like, you know, bigger,
GGG too.
this happens to large monsters. I mean, it all makes some kind of physical sense on some level. You know, bigger monsters can have this happen, smaller monsters have that happen, and that can kind of allow you a bit more control in that way as well.
Does this give you, Mark, some interesting tools to play with when designing bosses?
Yeah, I mean, generally, yes. I've had rants about this before. I love the I love the object size. I like things pushing you around, and I like that a small monster can't and a large monster can, and like things like the knockback and just the thing feeling very physical and as it would, I guess, in real life.
Yeah, I reckon.
Is quite important to me, and it makes the game feel just way more grounded. Like you're actually in there and it makes sense, as opposed to, I mean, that's something about the mercenary as well. I know this is tangential, but I'll just get into it. Like, when, I don't know if people notice, but when you fire at a monster on the ground, like that area had babies in it, the crossbow aims down and shoots down.
Yes,
like
that was a change that was also absolutely needed.
Whereas in POE 1, and like if there's a little like the little insects, for example, down there, you'll fire your bow and the arrow will just go this.
Bone shot. Well, it depends on the patch notes, but
like,
it
it doesn't
like
feel
bone shot is
right.
going to be a good option.
Now you may wonder, okay,
scale
well, how
the
can it
upper end.
pierce if it aims down? And the answer is it can't. But
I mean, it does a bit,
maybe
like,
not.
you
oh,
still
yeah,
get
sure.
the thing.
Well, it goes through and then hits the ground, but like.
Imagine
it does
a
change the gameplay in an
custom
interesting way,
gem
but it
for
also makes it
RF
feel
that
way more realistic,
enabled
and you're
spell
not just,
damage
like,
on it or
shooting
something
the
like
air.
that.
Yeah. One thing you didn't see in the demo, but actually, like now the collision
Or it allows
geometry for
ignite.
everything is actually modeled correctly to the to everything, even the stuff outside the gameplay space. So you can fire a grenade out over the buildings and like it'll hit the roofs and like bounce down on the roofs and like go down to the lower story and that sort of stuff. Like it actually has like all of that physics all working and
There's
everything.
even those problems in POE 1 with like leap slam, where you leap slam off like over a ravine, your character will go down, up, down.
Yeah,
Same-
no
same
more
as
of that.
before,
No more.
dude.
Yeah, so like we've got
Get
lots
rid
of
of all of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like there's a lot of physical stuff. In fact, like and also just things like arrows hitting like empty space and like stuff like that. Like now they all exactly hit the geometry and like there's lots of there's I mean, once again, it comes back to all the engine stuff we had to fix in order to make the mercenary possible. Like it was just like we were like, okay, we can no longer tolerate all of this like not physical stuff anymore. We have to actually make it right. So yeah, there was a big lot of changes required. And it makes just everything feel a lot more realistic and kind of grounded.
Blight
which is
of
good.
Contagion.
One of the reasons why the groundedness
I reckon
matters here is
Edie,
because one
with
of the
that Blight of
factors that
Contagion,
varies from
you're going to
fight
be
to
looking
fight is
at
the terrain
Contagion
that you're
builds
fighting
coming
in.
back.
And so
I
if you
reckon
can interact
Chaos
with the
Stock's
shape
going
of
to
that
be big
terrain in a
this league
different way,
because of
then
the
actually makes
efficiency
it
that
feel
comes
different.
out of
Fights
that.
feel different.
I like how it affects the monsters too, because instead of just shooting at a wall when you're up on an elevation,
Shield Crush is going to go off
they'll
too.
actually like pathfind backwards to try and get a line of sight to you with their projectile.
Yeah.
Which is
because
kind of interesting. Yeah,
they take into account height in the pathfinding now,
Yeah.
so they actually have to find like a line of sight to you, up a cliff and this kind of thing. Like there's some pretty interesting things.
Wow, very cool. So for demonstrations and things like demos and stuff, you're obviously going to be showing off as many different abilities and combos and stuff like that as possible, like more than you typically have on an actual character. But I'm curious then,
I know, right?
what are your
That's what I'm
expectations or
thinking
hopes
too,
for
Hody.
PoE 2
Edie
in terms
Contagion
of
is
how many
gonna be crazy.
skills and combos a well-refined character build is going to be running at endgame?
You can get it to 1,000.
I mean, I personally believe that you should have probably 2 to 3. 2 is going to be very common. I think 3 will be pretty common as well in terms of like core combos for your character. And then depending on the
But it'd
context,
be
like
interesting to
what's
see new
going on with the
replica
boss
items
fight or
in,
just the
in
monsters.
Heist as well.
You'll decide to do one or the other. But what I quite like about the way the gameplay is and what we try to strive
But the
for
other
is like
thing is,
you've got some
with
plan in
the-
mind for what you're
with
doing.
the lab now,
but
can you
like,
put
it's
support
no
gems
plan
in there?
survives
'Cause
contact with the
if
enemy
you can
kind of thing, and
modify
like,
the
the enemies
existing
are doing
skill
things that's
gems,
kind
you
of
must be able to
disrupting that, and then
modify
you're
the
like, oh, I
support
should get to use
gems.
the skill to kind of like deal with that. And so that a lot of the time you can have like I think you saw this on the Druid as well. It's like
Maybe?
the entire.
I mean,
the
considering
Druid
that the
basically has synergy
changes
for the
are
entire set of
to
skills that it had.
the lab
But in
enchant
reality, when
system
you're
and
playing, it's
alt
like
quality
you can't kinda
gems,
get off the full
I don't.
combo all the time. You need to
I'm not even
kind of-
familiar
sometimes
with
you
any
can, and
alt
then you get a huge amount
quality
of damage,
support
But
gems.
the rest of the time you're
Well,
kind
like
of
a
using
anomalous
individual parts of the
enchants.
combo, but,
inspiration,
like,
diversion,
there's multiple parts of it
inspiration.
still work
Ward
together.
loop might be
And so you can
harder to
still
make
sort of
now.
have,
Or
like,
easier.
For
like,
certain, yeah.
Like utilizing
Because
different
if you
parts
can
of it is
easily
still
get the
useful in
right
different
custom
situations,
damage
but then you can
tokens,
kind of use
then
everything together in one go
maybe
in the
easier.
end and kind of get something really awesome. So like different characters will feel a bit different.
Oh,
in this
there you
regard,
go.
but I really
Then
do want
that's
like,
the case.
some,
Then yeah,
like,
you
interesting
might be able to
combos
make
going on,
Ward
and
loop
it's
look like
very
that.
context sensitive.
Thanks
right?
for follow,
Like,
Cora.
what the enemies are doing should matter in what you are doing. Like that is, I guess, the sort of key element of that. And in order to achieve that, you're going to want to have like a few different options on your character to take care of different situations.
Cheers, Nom. You have a good one.
Before we
Good
move
day
on
at
to
work,
Path of Exile 1 and Affliction questions, we have just a couple more chat questions to ask. Do you need to spend all the crossbow ammo to reload, or can you reload manually as well? Is there like a hotkey or something for that?
Yeah, you can reload manually. So effectively, if you use the ammo skill again, it'll reload the thing. So
I reckon
there
Total
is a
will come
reload.
back eventually. I don't think it's gone
Great.
for
Will
very
Path of
long.
Exile 2 be cross-platform at all?
Yes, it will be. Absolutely.
Oh.
Considering how long Ultimatum was
will
in
boss
the
and monster balancing be
work
done around
before they
WASD
re-added it to the
movement
game, yeah, I
balancing,
feel
or will you
like
be keeping mouse movement
Ancestors
stats
going to come
in
back.
mind as
The
well?
tattoos were just
I
too
mean,
good.
we're always going to make sure that it's okay for both type of
I
players.
feel like they
but I
might
wouldn't
tone
say
them
that the
down a
balancing has to
decent
be
bit,
hugely
considering
different,
how
honestly.
just
Like,
build enabling
especially
they
with the
are.
dodge roll and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
you can get where you need to
The
go.
the
with quick move
gems,
as
yeah,
well.
the gems
It's
just
that
socket into
immediacy
of WSD
font
so
at the
it
lab
feels
now.
better.
Same as and you just hit whatever
like, I
quality
think
you
that
want on it, or whatever
I don't think
role
there's
you want on it.
necessarily a huge balance.
Gives you three options.
Maybe, Mark, you've got a different feeling.
No, it's ultimately the same.
Yeah.
But there's some tiny things like to give a real picky example, it's like when you click to move, you pathfind, right? And with WSD,
it is technically pathfinding a little bit, but
a bit less, and so like you're more likely to run into a
I reckon
where
it'd be
if you were to
easy
click
to
around
get
something, your
different
character will
combos,
path
and I reckon
around it, but
it'll
if you
invite you to go, hey, chuck
point,
this gem
your
in and
character
see
might
what
run
happens.
into that and get stuck because you actually have to navigate around yourself.
It does pathfind on WSD.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of familiar
But
with the pathfinding problem
there's
that
a
they're
couple
talking
cases like
about.
that, but
As
that's
I
not
said,
really
on
balanced, it's
console
more like we
POE, it actually does have those problems
I
with
would
trying to
say,
pathfind
though, that,
around
like, for
around
example,
I
obstacles
appreciate
pretty
all your
badly.
builds and tips. I'm already looking forward to the new season. I appreciate all
in
your
that
builds
area,
and
I
tips.
did find them a bit easier
I'm
to
already
dodge
looking
with WSD
forward to
because
the
you can
new
like take a step back really easily when you're fighting them when they get up close. The things like that like are a little bit easier. Whereas with click to move, like you're less inclined to because you'd have to move the mouse to the other side of the character.
Shit.
To
Thanks,
kind of be
man.
able to do
Appreciate
that.
it, dude.
Or else dodge roll, which takes a bit longer.
Don't
So there
worry,
are like
there'll
a
be
few
plenty
cases there
more.
where it's like
There'll be plenty
like,
more
you get a
builds
bit
and
more
tips
control
coming
there,
out
but,
after this one.
it's still-
And
that's fine.
knowing me
Ultimately,
with my off meta bullshit that I pull every
there's not a lot
league,
you need to
there'll
change
be
balance
some
wise.
crazy shit that I'll be doing.
All right. So will we be seeing a bit more for POE from POE 2 between now and the beta then?
Of course, well, I mean, at the very least, there'll be, the next league live stream and everything. We'll definitely want to have some stuff to show then. But as we get towards the beta, we're going to be showing a heck of a lot more.
To the
and
max.
I also want to make sure that we get I want to do. A deep
I
dive
imagine
like
with
this
all
for
these
every
gym
character
changes,
class,
all of these weird
so we
niche
can
builds
sort
like
of see,
ward loop, auto
I think
bombers.
there are also good
just
references for the
stuff
type of
that's
gameplay,
that's
that are,
complex
in terms of,
are
like, when
going
you're
to
picking a
be
class,
either
like what class you want to
impossible to
pick,
run
being able to see
or
what type
even
of gameplay
easier
you
to
can
run,
expect.
I'm
and it's
gonna be-
completely
So I
flip of
wanna
the
have one of
coin.
those
Dude,
for
I'm going to be
for
going
all the
100%
classes,
max
if
crit
we can.
Comet build already on the Inquisitor.
Great, and you
I
have a lot
already
of
have the
classes
tree
now,
ready
the
for
deep dive,
cast
so that's a lot of
content.
We do.
Great. All right, so moving
gonna
on to
be
Path of
like
Exile
full
1
screen
and Affliction
AoE Comet.
first. So Affliction looks like you're kind of walking through a
Oh my
carpet
god,
of
Cyclone
cockroaches with
cast
a
on
candle
crit,
to get
zombies
off.
falling from
You
the
guys ever
sky.
worry
I
about
want
a
it.
league mechanic
I
like
can do
this,
it.
that you're gonna
I
be
got the
just
tree.
scaring some players off? They're just going to nope out because of that?
No. It is a horror game, and
Cast
there's a
on
lot of
crit,
horror in
falling
it already.
zombies.
We've had a few examples.
Cast
though,
on
like, just to
crit,
give
it's a
small
raining
anecdotes.
Where's my notepad? It's going in the
There was,
sticky
I
in
think
the
it was the
phone
last one,
right
or
now.
maybe the
Cast on
current,
crit,
the
falling
mystery box
zombies.
that has the spider portal in it. We actually had people like specifically.
I will
go,
pay
don't want to
hundreds
buy
of
this mystery
mirrors
box
to make
because
a
I have
delve build
arachnophobia
of
and I
cast
don't
on
want to
crit,
get that
it's a
spider.
raining men.
It'll get to
The way I can
500,
get everything
but
but the spider from it.
I think I can
and
do it.
the short answer is no.
It's good enough for me.
But like, I mean, how does that person kill Weaver or get through?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're
But
gonna be doing it. Cast on crit,
no,
falling
generally,
zombies.
like the game has a lot of horrific stuff in it, and as you can
Yeah.
even see from what's going on in that mercenary demo, we're not not pulling our punches when it comes to that stuff for sure.
I remember Eric came
Let's
across a
talk
list of
POE
things not
1.
to include in games because they scare the players. Things like objects that are too sharp and pointy, or trypophobia triggering clusters of small regular holes. And he's like, "This is very useful."
Designed by
If they go over the
Yeah,
trypophobia thing,
exactly.
if they actually have stuff
Right.
designed like that, I will have
So, talking
nightmares
about
after
mechanics,
PoE
the
2.
Wisp
Oh, yeah,
allow you
still
to
gonna go
explore the
delve, man. Always
wildwood
gonna go delve.
Are somewhat of a limited resource, it seems. Is this a timer,
But the new
or
league
is it a
mechanic's
distance
gonna
traveled
really
some
buff
kind
up
of mechanic like that?
the ability to get access to
It's-
fortify and whatnot.
It's distance traveled, but it's distance
Okay.
traveled into
And
Yeah,
I'm doing
between
endurance
onslaught,
for
fortify, and all that
cockroaches.
kind of stuff,
So
it's going
how
to
much of
enable
that you can
delving
purge away.
deeper, faster.
So if
More
you
armor,
run back
double
on a
double
path you've already
popping
been,
for
like let's say you
loot.
run up some way and then you want to go back and then go
the
a
armor
different
stack's
direction,
gonna go
like running back
crazy.
where you've been doesn't use the resource.
Plus, on top of that,
running anywhere
Affliction's
new
just going to be
does.
good in general, because remember, the
I think it'll be a popular decision
Wisps
instead of it being
carry
like a
over to the
hard
map.
timer.
So run your Affliction real quick.
So how long is
just
adventure?
jack your Wisps up, and then your map will be more valuable since you're running less of
well,
them.
They're just talking
Even
about
typical is somehow subjective here, but obviously it depends on your character. But I mean, anywhere, I would expect most people to be in there like kind of a minute, upwards of 2 minutes. But
So it sort of depends on what you run into, though, because if you run into a boss fight, it can it can be a while.
It does depend what you find, but like I mean, you can.
And
be
if
in
you
there as
run
short as
back, it
30
doesn't
seconds,
use
or-
the wisp up if you
or a
run
lot
back
less if you're
or in an area
just
you've already
not really
walked from
caring
what
where
I
you're
heard there.
going. But that is not the right tactic to have at all.
and there isn't time pressure here in any way. You can be in there for a quarter of an hour if you're just incredibly methodical and barely move.
I don't think that anyone would be doing that, but yeah.
You can.
Now, what would be
Yeah,
cool
catering
is if
to
we could
slower
actually
players
get
who don't like the
a
fast
small
you can go
Delvery
fast, it's
work
more
to
efficient to go fast, but
include
you don't have
some
to.
of these new league
I
mechanics
wanted-
like ultimatum and stuff
Sorry?
like that
I
down
wanted
in
something
there.
that was normalized a bit more between faster and slower players. Like you can
Right.
do it at your own pace as opposed to feeling like ultra stressed. And a faster player can do it as fast as they want, and that's still fine.
Excellent. So you get these wisps, and you free them. They go into your map, and they infect monsters, and you make them drop more loot. Are they like more likely to choose more powerful enemies like rares and bosses, or is it just fully random?
They are more likely to pick, bosses and rares or higher rarity monsters going down. Yes.
And otherwise there would have been like no chance for multiple wisp types to go into one monster, right?
When
So
he said
we had
going
to make it so that
down,
it
what
was
does that mean?
relatively
Does it
likely
mean
for
it's
that to
like
occur,
Delve?
but it doesn't always happen. It's kind of it's variable.
As a typical Path of Exile player, I immediately thought of abuse cases for this. Can you like kill all the monsters in a map except the boss, and then just go in and come out, and then free the wisp into the boss only, stacking it
Well,
up?
Thankfully, as we're also PoE players, we have also thought of this.
No.
We don't think of
okay.
everything, but at least in that case, no, it is a chance
fair
per
enough.
monster. So if you clear the whole map and then go and do it, the resultant is, well, it's actually detrimental for you.
Yeah. And the wild would always appears at the start of the map. So that means that you always like have the chance, like that way you get the most, just to make sure that you get the most what do you call it, equity of drop equity or whatever out of doing it. So like
a little like Delirium where the mirror would spawn.
exactly, it is
Fair
exactly like
enough.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Wow, you guys have thought of it.
We've done this for a while now. I guess. We've got
Some experience.
God, could you imagine being able to carry a
some players
Delirium
love
down
mechanics in
into
maps
the
and others seem to
Affliction?
love ones that cause
I
them to take
reckon
a
you
break from
probably
map. There's
can.
definitely some divide there.
Possibly.
Interestingly,
'Cause
I
you
noticed
can
that
in
Affliction is
Abyss,
a little bit of
I
both.
think.
It's a portal, but it juices your map afterwards. How do you folks like to balance the desires of the player base when it comes to designing leagues like this?
Ultimately, we just like to do a bit of all of it. Sometimes it's out of map, sometimes it's in map, sometimes in this case it's a bit of both. Like there isn't really some, elaborate decision that goes into it. It's just kind of like we feel like it's time for one or the other.
I mean, we definitely have discussions of like, we've done a couple of an area ones. Let's do an out of area one.
Ghost
Oh, I've done
busting.
some out of area
Ghost
ones. Let's do an
busting
area
and
one.
a
Like,
ghost busting
in this case, we were
wisp
like, it just sort of felt good
bosses.
to have both things. So
Because
it
there's
was
a
good,
thing
but
called ghost
yeah, like honestly,
busting
we
in the
tried to
game
just have a
now,
variety.
thanks to their
This
change
is
in
kind
the
of
Atlas
concept
last
at least
league.
that I use internally, which is what shape is the combat, and we want to try all the different shapes we can do, and we haven't run out of shapes yet.
This shape
awesome.
technically is whatever shape you want to because you can run. So it's an undefined shape.
All right.
I have to always look out for my co-op buddies. How does Affliction work in multiplayer?
So once you die, you can't go back in. Just worth noting. Technically, that's
sucks.
multiplayer or single player, but only the map
Just gonna have to
owner
build a tank that
can,
doesn't
or
die.
if they're not present, I believe it nominates someone else, but I'll make sure that's the case if not. Can actually reveal fog or the mist, whatever the bugs.
Oh.
Bone Shatter, go Bert.
And when you collect, so the expectation is
Bone
the party
Shatter,
members
just go hard,
kind of follow
armor
them
stack
around.
more.
And the
Shame it seems like this is not very party
the
friendly.
wisps that
But
you collect, it's
I'm okay
the
with
same
that.
amount. So
That's-
they're just a shared
that
pool.
works for me.
Like, it
Like
doesn't-
any player who collects wisps will go to the primary player.
Yeah.
So like they're all so there's effectively the map owner is the one in charge of the
Yeah.
of exploring basically. Yeah.
But anyone can pick them up if you want to spread out a little bit like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, it works in multiplayer. Due to the nature of the rewards, just being based on the monster's drops, they will scale with like party drops like normal. So there's no
Empyrean Gaming's going to have some crazy
work as
stuff
standard
with wisps
multiplayer
and
drops.
party scaling.
They're going to double
Right.
pop corpses.
And we
they'll
get
have a
this new
corpse popper.
ascendancy system as a reward for this, which seems quite significant, especially seeing some of the specific
Like
bonuses
triple
there.
mage
How
blood
challenging
drops.
is it? How challenging is it to actually unlock these wild?
I am curious about how that
and
corpse
gain
popping
all of their
works.
points?
I wonder if it
so you get
just
8 points per
rolls on
class.
its table
You
again,
get your first
or
2
if
points
it
when you
rolls
meet
on a
the
separate
NPCs,
table.
which occurs relatively early. I think we have the, and it is slightly RNG based, and is whether or not you find them, and but you can increase the chance of finding them by following the trails of wisps. They will lead to them.
So the different colors have different things at the end of the trails, so you can kind of pick which direction you want to go.
And each color associates to an NPC. So I think if you can start around appearing around Act 2, and then the expectation is by end of Act 5, you've probably found each of them once. And when you meet them, you get your first 2 points, and then they'll give you a quest if you.
So you're telling me I can get the double popping as soon as I meet him the first time?
Or kill some monsters, like real basic quests, all done within the
that
forest.
goes to the right of the
and
tree.
then you get your 4th point, and then or 3rd and 4th points, and then you have a quest to kill like a mini boss, and then it'll give you your 5th and 6th, and then the final 2 points.
Hey, Coles, how's it going?
Killing the final boss of the league, which is probably relatively difficult. Like that's a level 83 kind of
easy.
Maybe equivalent to say like
Dell players are going to just blitz through.
We're not even going to have an issue
not
here.
Quite
this
pinnacle
is,
boss,
this is
but like
easy
just
breezy
below
for us,
kind of thing. So that will be hard. So you could argue the first 6 points.
In
the
your
first 2
dreams,
points are
it'll be
easy.
hard.
First 6 easier than probably say Labyrinth or the normal Ascendancy equivalent, but the last 2 points will be quite a lot harder than the regular Ascendancy 8 last 2 points.
And this is in parallel / addition to your existing Ascendancy class and its progress. You have 2 classes here to clarify.
Yeah. That means you could get Fortify and Onslaught really early.
That last one that was revealed was like a little bit of everything.
The ability to remove Fortify and Onslaught, potentially phasing or potentially anything else from your passives or your gearing is insane.
Imagine if you could get
you can have
Carnage, was it
up to your spectral limit
Savagery
of
or
Hydras,
Carnage?
but
Aspect of Carnage
they cannot be
into your
desecrated.
Ascendancy?
So once you have it, once you have the item, you buy it from him. You can only spectre it once. Once it dies, then you have to buy more of them. But
that's
yes,
okay.
it will be hard to find them.
You can trade. You can
as soon as the patch notes come out, the first thing I'm doing is
I really
Control
wanted
F
this
flicker.
I wanted you to be able to find the NPC and then be able to effectively buy something from them that could be worth multiple divines. And I'm like, a Hydra could be worth multiple divines. Like, let's see if we can do that.
No,
actually.
you can
trade the corpses.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So there's a reason to look at the shop for all of the NPCs, regardless of whether or not you're that Ascendancy class, because other people can use them.
Talk about the fragility of the Hydra.
Yes. Well, it is worth noting the Hydra's health in particular is relatively low, so you do have to keep it alive.
We just buff minions. It's easy.
The Spectres in general they're pretty interesting. There's a lot I've tried to go for where we've gone and tried to give stats that other builds wouldn't use. Like there's one, for example, where one of its properties just says your owner, as in the player, has 5% more attack damage or melee attack damage. I can't remember which of those two. And then if you get all your Spectres, you can get like 40% more attack damage. But now you're a melee build that's invested in Spectres and
Spectres to gear your character is crazy.
You might be doing there, and then of course that means you need minion life, otherwise they're all just going to die. And there's hopefully some kind of weird, interesting builds that come out of this, where you have unorthodox builds using Spectres that you normally wouldn't.
Of updates.
And you had that interesting one.
Oh, they've posted the new class. They've posted the new trees up.
I don't know what they're called, but it's effectively Fire Fury and Hellrake, and they specifically the Fire Fury one becomes empowered if
where are you seeing this stuff at?
If you also have a Hellrake Spectre,
coming up on the Twitter right now.
Same thing. So then you want to run
like
2 different
a
ones, which again is also
updates have just hit their Twitter.
Kind of abnormal because normally when you
keep
play a Spectre build, you stack a lot of the same thing. So it's promoting a bit of just different gameplay.
Sweet, we got to learn the whole
So
damn
there's something going on between the Fire Fury and the Hellrake. Then they have some backstory together. I guess
they're empowering each other, yeah, for sure.
They are.
I like the inventory extension, the Wildwood rucksack.
New fanfic in progress. The charms for the Wildwood Primalist, they capture random parts of other Ascendancy nodes and allow you to create a new one in kind of like a build your own Ascendancy fashion. What sort of limitations are there? Can you just get like any power from any node?
You can't get anything. I can't remember exactly what you can and can't get, but there are some stuff that is like it's binary and ultra powerful, and like that's just too much power to give from a single node like that can have 2 modifiers on it. So you can't get everything, but you can get most things, and even in some cases where they are binary, we've made non-binary versions of that property where it's like can either be chance-based or percentage-based, like a portion of it. But they do stack as well. So like for example, you can get the 3 sockets, and obviously you can get like we showed say the Occultist Curse Explosion. Like if you just want to go all in on the chance of that, you could try and get that on all 3 of them. But again, It's going to be pretty rare. They're unmodifiable, but again, tradable. And I'm expecting, again, going under the philosophy of I want you to be able to find these
unmodifiable.
ETCs
That means you have to get it dropped properly.
I do want it to be that occasionally you find one and you get multiple divines worth of a trade because you find just the perfect charm.
And again, you don't have to.
That's okay. That's if you farm it enough, and we probably will, then it should be fine.
Yeah, there's some
shops.
Yeah, the shops should be valuable. Hopefully.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. Are there any limitations to this primalist shouting items at corpses thing?
Yeah.
It's like, are people just going to be going around shouting at every corpse for extra loot?
Well, it's one of these interesting. This one's been very controversial. I'll point out internally. Don't get me wrong. See, for me, I really like it because it's a thing where if you're an efficient, let's think of it a few different ways. Firstly, if you're destroying corpses, it doesn't work, right? There's no body left to get loot
you can't
from.
destroy corpses.
So you can deal with spikers, and or with the porcupines, and among other things. But so. We had a bit of a.
Yeah, we're back now.
A Discord dip there. I'm going to just start that part again. But one thing to note is that, yes, you have to have the corpse around, which means you have to be playing a build that doesn't destroy corpses. Meaning, of course, you have to deal with the porcupine Goliaths. I don't know who heard that before, but whatever. And then the other thing to note is it actually rewards slower players more than faster players because you have to Warcry, which is cooldown based. Are you really going to wait around meticulously Warcrying on every single corpse, or are you just going to move on and kill more monsters and run more maps?
Delve players get the advantage.
If you want to get the most out of your map, of course, that's a way to do it. But if you
especially whenever you get to that last little room where all the loot explosion happens, there's so many corpses there just ready to go.
Cities would be insane.
Available and get
cities are. Whoa! I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
opening that pet's kind of
entire
opening
room
chests is a big. Yeah, that's the main. That's the main use.
Actually,
of that
oh my god, you could break that mechanic and just
just
absolutely sit in the room for as long as you can
it doesn't
and farm
care
corpses.
about the monster's quantity and rarity. It does care about map quant and rarity. So a boss is just going to occasionally drop like an item, if that. You know, it doesn't like
double chance to double all drops.
Double alls, no.
Double alls.
It's more for like getting a little bit of extra currency than it
because
is
the probability on all, if it's
based on
the enemy.
I'll ask
and
the
probability of drop on the enemy, all's got a high probability of uprising.
Do you think you'll give this to people outside of the Primalist?
Short answer, no.
Not sure. I don't think they do.
But I mean, look, we chuck these.
All thing I got to do is hope that it does that doesn't cause the price to drop like crazy.
Controversy internally.
Well, probably will.
We'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. But like, I do not see that thing returning outside of the Primalists after the league, even if the league happens to go core. You know.
Yeah.
Controversial league design. It sounds like internally. Oof.
Well, they're 3 months experiments essentially.
Yeah, I like to try things.
Easy
I
accessibility.
say controversy. It's fun.
It's not like there's a shouting match or anything going on. Right? Like, it's just.
Well, one of us isn't.
That being said, I better saddle up and get ready for work. But I'll see you guys
We've got some more chat
later on.
questions
There'll
on
be a ton of
Affliction
videos
before we
that'll
move on
come
to the
out.
other features. When you went to the
early
lab,
hours in
would
the
you
morning.
start at the last place you're at? Is it like a
But
continual
we'll
exploration?
end stream
or is it
there
a
and then
new
pick it up a
area
little bit
each
later
time?
today with patch notes.
It's not continuous. No. We are. It is effectively an infinite forest, but you're just